This is a big day for a lot of reasons. This is a big day. But I'm going to start with something we can all agree on, okay? If you get a massive contract, let's call it a 9-figure contract. If you're a 9-figure contract guy, that means $100 million or more, and you want a number from a player, a new bar has been set. El Coche, a car. 92 G's. Soto got Brett Beatty a car. Great line, too, from him. Beatty's like, yeah, I had an idea when so-and-so, maybe his assistant or somebody, was asking me what my dream car was, and then they asked me what my insurance was. I'm like,
hey, I got to interrupt you. He screwed up.
Wait, why?
Man. You got to go with the rolls. You got to go. No. You got to go with the rollies, baby.
It's been a continued thing.
No.
He's been talking about it for a while because he was driving his high school vehicle that he's kept since high school.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask him about his dream car yesterday. He'd been talking about it with this guy. I think this guy's name was Mark. I'm not sure who it is with the Mets, but he was talking about it. And he's like, I mean, this is kind of like something a little more spacious. I mean, Beatty's a big dude. Like, he needs some spaciousness. I mean, this is good. Brett Beatty can't be rolling around in no rolls.
Why not?
That's not realistic.
Well, guess what?
It's like getting a Tom Ford bag when you're in the bushes. I get it. It's nice, but you got to stick to like Coach and Louis Vuitton.
You know I'm kidding, but at the same time, if he's like, well, my dream car has been 2025 SUV Rolls Royce, whoopsies, pay that man his rollies. Either way, whatever, man. All good. This is a really cool story. This is great.
Todd, Father, I'm on your side.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew you would. This guy's got no facial hair. It's all, maybe he does a little bit. Sorry. Excuse me. He does.
Kratz, you making a comeback? We'll get to that. That's a whole world. That's a good 10 minutes at least on this show. But let's charge. Actually, before we charge, calendar, please, with the pop-ups.
Oh,
follow
Monday,
along, Todd.
Orioles camp. Tuesday, Pirates camp. Wednesday, Yankees camp. Thursday, Cardinals camp. Friday, Mets camp.
They hate me.
Kratz, you're not at Mets camp?
I'm going to be there, but they hate me. I just say I never Cardinals and Mets. I never played there.
They don't hate you.
They hate me. They said the one guy said, "I hope you get cancer," which is like over the top.
That's not cool.
From the Mets camp.
Who said that?
That's not cool.
Who said that to you?
On Twitter.
Maybe.
Oh, Mets fans.
Mets community.
Maybe he meant to say, no, there's no way around that word. That's not good. I don't even like joking around that word. That's terrible.
It's a bad one. But anyway.
Kratz, you can rebound because we're going to talk Mets later too. You can rebound. You can say, okay, let me just get this straight. If you're a Mets fan, you would rather finish first in the division than finish third, win 90 games, and win the World Series. Option A or option B? Because you didn't say that they were going to flunk in the playoffs. You just said you think they're going to be a third-place team.
Yep. Anyway, that's old stuff. But what a calendar. What a week coming up next week. I'm excited.
I am excited as well. And those shows will be live from spring training. More info as we roll along here on our show. Let's charge the damn mound because we got games or game.
Charging the mound.
All right, so let's dive into this. And there are many layers. But Todd, Father, first take me through the first ever challenge via automatic balls and strikes. Cubs played the Dodgers. We'll get into a little bit of game stuff. There's not that much to slice up, but Max Muncy, first inning, so classic that it's Max because he's got a better eye than most umpires. But take me through the experience, and do you like it?
Yeah, I actually saw this live. I was sitting there waiting. I had a little bit of time going to get my kids from school, and I'm like, you know what? Let me watch a little bit of this. I wish, it's a work in progress. I wish they showed this screen first, the ABS strike zone first, before the umpire put up 0-2. The screen didn't come up until after the umpire went 0-2 count, which was pretty cool. I thought it was a strike. The catcher caught it. I forget who it was. He framed it, went to throw, looked back. He's like, let me try this. And, I think it was pretty cool. I've wanted this. I think this is cool. I don't want the umpires ever to leave. I like the human element. But again, they get two of them, see how it works. It worked fine. It was a strike. The ball was pretty much inside the zone. You know how umpires are sometimes. You catch it the wrong way, they're not going to call it a strike. I mean, for most umpires, I should say. And that's just the human nature, which I talk about all the time. So it was the right call, kind of deflating as a hitter. You went from 0-1 to 0-2, and eventually Muncy struck out. So Petit got the best of him there. But yeah, it was interesting. Maybe they could speed it up just a little bit. Maybe it's the first one. I know it's a work in progress. I don't know what the timestamp was, but it seemed like after he did it, like we were waiting there for, closer to the 10-second range, but it is what it is. I thought it was great.
I like how they were talking about it the whole time. And the announcers, it's hard for the announcers to really know what was going on. And they sat there and they're like, well, Max Muncy was told. Dave Roberts came out and said Max Muncy's not supposed to be arguing balls and strikes. And the announcers were kind of watching. And then they sat there and they went, oh, wait, Max isn't supposed to challenge. Oh, wait, it's not Max's challenge. It'll get smoother. I always remember whenever they switched over to replay, it was in 2014, and the very first play of the year, we were in Tampa. Jose Reyes hits a pop-up to the center fielder. He's running down to first base, tweaks his hamstring.
Oh, no.
What's his name in center? Kiermaier dives in center field. I think Kiermaier was there at that time. But anyway, dives in center field. So it's like a trap, no trap. First play of the season, and we're trying to go through replay while the trainer's out there getting hosey because he tweaked his hammy.
So now you got more time.
It took forever to do it. It was so clunky. They tried to replay it. Sal Butera was our replay guy.
Yeah.
He screwed it up. So this is the first ABS challenge. So it's a little slow, a little clunky. I think there's so many possibilities to make this really look awesome. I'm glad we can get the answers right.
And I think I saw somewhere that the average time it takes in the minors through the testing process for the last several years was 17 seconds, which was actually more than I thought. I'm like, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Instantaneous?
Yeah, I agree too. I'm waiting for the fans to go like, hey, get like they do in tennis kind of deal. Like, so if it's going to be a little bit longer, once the screen pops up and you see the ball, start clapping. Let's go. I think that's the right idea to do it. I think that would be fun. Keep the fans engaged. What do you got? What do you got? Ball. Oh, all right.
I don't understand why it would take so long. Literally, we used to sit. I talked about it yesterday. We used to sit on the iPad, and the pitch would come in. And then iPad, and we'd see it.
But now they're holding off because they don't want you yelling from the dugout. That was a ball. You know what I mean? Like they wait longer. Yeah. Because guys come in after a strikeout and they're looking.
Yeah, but you can't delay the TrackMan. It's all.
No,
Hawkeye.
I get it.
They're not doing it on TrackMan. They're doing it on Hawkeye. So it's
with all the intelligence and
it's instantaneous.
Stuff we have.
I don't know. Hopefully they'll speed it up or they'll do something cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Ball,
strike.
We can do something.
I like that.
Be creative. Fans have a chance.
Or give a sign like ball, and you have the strike sign. Like no, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that'd be cool.
No, that's a terrible idea.
That's cool with you.
I hope we don't ever do that.
Whatever.
Todd is out in trying to come up with cool ideas.
Whatever. You're not fun.
That's a terrible idea.
Also, it's at a home park, so they're all going to be rooting for one call or the other. You're not going to have like, hey.
Right.
The left side, you guys all say ball. Right side, we all say strike.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball does some fan things that are a little over the top, like the wave, but I don't know if they're going to get that pre-coordinated. Let me show you the quote from Max Muncy post-game. Jesse Rogers tweeted this out, and Cody Poteet, by the way, was on the mound. For anyone that wants to just remember Muncy and Poteet's names 20 years from now when it's a trivia question. Quote from Max, "It was a pitch that I definitely thought was a strike. The ump balled it, and I looked out, and the pitcher seemed very excited to challenge that one." So there you go. Max knew it.
Pitchers aren't supposed to challenge them.
They can.
No, but they aren't somebody was it Stark? Did he interview?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it later.
Leaders?
We're going to go over the rules of what you should and shouldn't do. But no, it's okay to tease it, give a little teaser for people that are just looking at this and they're going to be like, "Ooh, I got to see this next segment." That's a tease.
Yep, because there's a lot of people that have experience with it. And the trends are don't let certain people challenge. Yeah. And I was always thinking hitters. Wait till you see what the info came out with that who's not supposed to challenge because they're usually wrong. Probably not surprising.
That is correct. No. That is correct. All right, let's get to game stuff just for a quick sec. Eddie Rosario, first home run of spring training. Cool. Yamamoto gets 5 outs. Curveball looked like it had a little extra drop to it. Only used 5 of them, but cool. All great. Everyone stayed healthy. And, well, actually, that was a lie. That was the next thing I was going to say. Unfortunately, Bobby Miller hit by a comebacker. Could have been much worse. Concussion protocol, 105.5 miles an hour off the bat of Michael Busch. He tweets post-game, thank you to everyone who has reached out. Really means a lot. Scary moment. I'm good. All praise to the man above. Can't wait to get back on the mound. And then we do have another quote from Muncy, who's probably the best soundbite, along with Glasnow on the Dodgers. Muncy, after checking on Bobby Miller right after he was hit in the head by the liner, quote from Max. They asked him where he was at, and he was a little pissed about the curveball coming back at him. So everyone's kind of like, all right, he's fine. He knows where he's at. So good news after obviously something that happens at least several times a year in the majors and is often leading to a worse result, Todd Father. I mean, it's the one thing we really haven't been able to crack in Major League Baseball is to prevent comebackers from being less of a vulnerable thing for pitchers. And I don't know. I mean, I know they've tried the ball cap liner stuff. That probably helps a little, but not going to protect your face. They're not wearing face masks. So it's always going to be a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, is it far-fetched to softball players, the girls, they wear the mask, and a lot of them do, and it doesn't seem like it ever falls off their head. I'm all about safety. I'm all about health. I'm all about making sure everybody's okay. I mean, listen, it was a breaking ball, but things I think about, pitchers are throwing harder. When somebody squares a ball up in baseball and it comes back at you from 96 plus, you have no time to react. And that's the scary part about being a pitcher. You are the closest one to where the hitter is hitting the baseball. Why can't you come up with a mask that you put on where when they throw, it doesn't and it just sits on there? So there's something that can protect you, could protect you. I'm glad he's okay, but we do see this a lot. I mean, the one I think was one of the worst ones for me live was Aroldis Chapman in spring training. Salvador Perez hit a line drive off his head. He had to get stitches right down the center. I think the center of his head, I forget how many. Eventually he came back and pitched that year, but man alive, it seems like it's a lot more than usual. I know, back in the day it wasn't as many, but now I just feel like it's just the way these guys can swing the baseball bat, the more electronically, skilled everybody is about, where your bat path should be, how your swing should be, and your approach. It's totally different than 20, 30, 40 years ago, Kratzy. And I got to be honest, I feel like now more than ever is the time to come up something what softball does with a mask. And people are like, oh, you're silly, blah, blah, blah. The helmet didn't work. I felt like that might have been too heavy, but there's something that can help you at least sustain your face getting crushed from baseball.
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as I agree with you, Todd, like it's gonna have to be something that much worse happens before somebody actually wears a mask. I don't think that's right. I think you sit there and you go, we can come up with something that would give pitchers an opportunity, but how much is your ego going to get into it? How much is your, I know guys that would put the Kevlar in their hat, and it helped. It helped, if they ever got hit.
It's not protecting your face, though.
But it's still not protecting your face. Like they even, it kind of got, that big hat that they were wearing. Yeah. It looks silly. Well, you're going to look silly forever if they hit you in the face.
You see in football, the helmets, a couple guys wore those helmets that were 2 times the size to protect them from concussion. So, you're getting paid a lot of money. Looking silly.
But you're going to live a lot. You're going to live your life a lot longer than your career.
Exactly.
So if you look silly, I remember when G got hit in the face, when Giancarlo got hit in the face, and he was one of the first ones to really come up with the C flap. But he had like the G in it.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, no way, that's going to get in my face.
Can't see.
There's whole organizations now. The Brewers' entire organization in the minor leagues, I think AA down.
All the kids
and now all the kids want it. So I think it's just one of those things that the first person has to do it, and there's no drawback besides it's a little weird to start out. So if somebody's out there, go ahead and make a nice little face mask that looks cool.
Yeah, people want to look cool and be comfortable, and it's tough to find the balance. It is what it is. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk to Ken Rosenthal about some hot topics in spring. We'll ask him about the Yanks facial hair policy before we get to it later, too. Be right back, FT fam. FT, the show is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Oh, Kratz, you making a phone call?
I just finished. I was talking to my old provider and
How'd it go?
went ahead and went it pretty easy because they were like, "Well, we'll give you this," and I was like, "Well, actually, this is only $15 a month, so you can't match that. I'm gonna take my number with me because that was really the only thing you had was my number, and now I have it, and it's easy to switch."
They're like,
over
but
to
we
Mint
give you all these other perks. What perks?
I get the same wireless network that there's literally nothing that's going to change when I switch over.
Yeah, nation's largest 5G network, high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and Todd Father, everyone gets to be a GM and try to talk to their old carrier if they're switching and negotiate.
That's
and the
it.
negotiation's going to go, well, you can't match the offer. See ya.
See, you wouldn't want to be you.
He gone.
Exactly.
Love
you
all.
gone. You gone. So if you like to hold on to more of your money, then Mint Mobile might be a little spot for you. Okay. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Bring that phone number along with you, along with the contacts, the whole deal. Ditch the overpriced wireless and go get yourself Mint Mobile today. Mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available, taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Coming right back with Ken Rosenthal, our little Mint Mobile inside scoop segment with Ken. Will also hopefully feature a few questions from the crowd. So drop them in right now if you're watching on YouTube. We actually have some people watching on Twitter too today, but YouTube, you guys get priority because we love you the most. So if you're watching right now, send us questions and we'll be right back in like 1 minute. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, good to see you. I'll start with a signing that we didn't get to yet and we'll talk about later. It's not the world's biggest, but it's 1 year, $5 million for Andrew Heaney to join the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're still spending a little bit of money right now. What was your thought on that signing and just any overall thoughts on the Pirates, as we haven't talked about them in a minute?
Just looking at it from Heaney's perspective, obviously the money's not where he would have wanted it to be. I would think he would have wanted somewhere in the $10 million range. He's a pretty accomplished pitcher in his own way. He's not an ace, I get it, but he is someone that you would have thought in a market that originally was quite hot for starting pitchers might have done better. But what's interesting about this to me is he gets to join a rotation that is pretty good, right? Jerry Jones, Mitch Keller, and Paul Skeens. So now you add Heaney to that, and for the Pirates, that's a pretty formidable group. Now, I still question their offense. Their big offensive addition, Spencer Horwitz, is already hurt. They didn't really do much else. I don't like the way the team is run, and we've all talked about that for years now. But this signing at that price should be pretty good for them.
Was this based on the fact that you can't find a position player for $5 million, and so they're like, well, it kind of looks good because we're adding to our depth? Is that really the only option, or was it something that they were pursuing other pitchers and this is just the first one to offer or to accept this low of an offer?
I'm not quite sure, Eric, how that has played out for them. Obviously, they've been on both position players and pitchers. There was a report by Robert Murray last night that they originally had pursued Jose Quintana. Now, I don't expect Quintana's going to sign for $5 million. Just as I don't expect Kyle Gibson, if he signs, will sign for $5 million or anything like that. But maybe I'm wrong. And maybe these guys ultimately will have to be forced to settle for these lesser deals. But from the Pirates' perspective, I don't imagine, Eric, that it was, we've got $5 million and this pitcher will take it, so we can't get a position player for that. They are who they are, and they should have spent more on position players, period, this offseason, and did not.
All right. Ken, when was the last time you had a beard?
Never.
Never. So you have been the one pushing the facial hair policy for the Yankees. We knew it. We knew there was somebody behind every move in baseball, and we didn't think this was you, Ken, but it is you. The Yankees changing their facial hair policy, and how kind of stuck his flag in the midfield of the Yankees' own field and said, "I'm ultimately the one that makes this decision." Do you know any of the background of how long this decision was being mulled over by the man, the king, Hal?
I don't. And it's very curious to me that it's coming out on this day. Why wouldn't you have announced this January 30th before the players got to camp? But this is what they're doing. And Hal Steinbrenner said he consulted with several players and former players about this. I don't know that he would have gotten any different answer if he had consulted with players and former players 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, going back to the days of Don Mattingly when he was fighting with the Yankees over facial hair. It's been a ridiculous policy for way too long. My only question is, what took so long? And why even was this policy under Hal Steinbrenner prolonged in the first place? I just don't understand this whole thing from start to finish. This Yankee pride stuff. My friend Joel Sherman pointed out at one point, well, Yankee pride, they've already put some advertising on the uniform, the Nike swoosh. They've also moved from one Yankee stadium to the other to the other. They've had 3 different Yankee stadiums. This tradition stuff, why did it have to include the hair? That didn't really make much sense to me.
Are you saying the Yankees' moral degradation is going downhill because they've changed the stadium, they've changed the beard policy, the advertisement? What next? What's the next thing? Are they going to have names on the back of their jersey to sell a few more, Ken?
Hell, I don't know about that, Eric. Can't do that. But this whole idea of this Yankee tradition, yeah, we get it. The Yankees do have tradition. I don't know that the tradition was perpetuated by the no facial hair policy, but today it ended a merciful, or it met a merciful demise. Put it that way.
Ooh, look at you, man, and your facial hair talk. I don't like facial hair, as you can tell. So
it doesn't like you.
Anyway, I want to go to your article you wrote about Justin Verlander and Buster Posey, explaining, hey, listen, I don't want you to be a mentor here. I'm paraphrasing here. We want you here basically because we know how good you are and we want you to get back to being great. Can you dive in a little bit more about that conversation and what Buster Posey and Verlander were talking about?
Yes, I conducted a bunch of interviews for Fox earlier this week that will be put together later in the season when we have the Giants on Fox. And in those conversations, that's what Posey said to me. Hey, when I went after this guy, it wasn't simply to be the father figure to the staff. It was because I believe he can be Justin Verlander, maybe not the Justin Verlander of 2006 or even 2022 or whatever, but someone who is really, really good. And Verlander clearly believes that as well. And so far, it's early, I know, but he seems to be recovered from his neck and shoulder problems from last year. He's feeling good about himself. And his goal still is 300 wins. And I don't know that he'll get there. He's 38 shy. But if there's ever a guy you want to bet on, it's him. And he keeps himself in great shape. He told me he wants to pitch until he's 45. He just turned 42 yesterday. It's not a set goal or anything like that, but he always idolized Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan pitched until he was 46. So with Verlander, guys, I just find him so fascinating. He has such a history in the game. He has made so much history in the game. And to see him now, and Max Scherzer the same, and with Toronto, to see these guys trying again and trying to get back to where, or at least close to where they used to be, that to me is pretty cool.
Ken, Justin's going to pitch until Kate says it's okay for him to keep pitching. Okay, so that's how it will go for Justin. And if he wants to compete with that, I understand. They're doing the tour of the cities. Where were you, Ken, when you saw the first challenge of the ABS system? And was it just as insurmountable of a moment in your life as you thought it would be?
It was not, because I was writing the Verlander column at the time. So I wasn't actually paying attention to that. But it's going to be really interesting, Erik, to see how this plays out. And as a former catcher, I am sure you are quite intrigued by this whole thing and how catchers strategically will pick their times to challenge. Now, it's the catchers, the pitchers, and the hitters. They all have the ability to challenge. No one else does, and you have to do it immediately. And I was really interested reading Jason Stark's article yesterday in The Athletic about how in the minor leagues, when they've had this challenge system on ABS, pitchers basically were told, no, you can't do this. Don't do this. You mess it up. Because pitchers always think, I guess, that the pitches are strikes and they don't have the best angle on some of them. But catchers and how they choose and when they choose to challenge, that's going to be really interesting, and how they just go about this. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about is, obviously in spring training, you're just looking to see if this thing works okay and if the system works okay. And they'll tweak it from here if indeed players embrace it. But the strategy part of it, the spots you pick, that would be different in the regular season than it would be in a spring training game. So that's one thing that we won't necessarily get a great feel for, how it would play out in a regular season game. But I'm interested to see how this all goes this spring.
All right, Ken, I heard you call my name out yesterday on Fair Territory because I mentioned how, wait, ready? I think I was right on this. Wait, I mentioned how I'm like, hey, if this is so good and this works so well,
yes,
can we just implement it in the league now? And you said no, it's got to go through a whole process, competition committee, etc. I get that, but also, this isn't the 10 Commandments or some crazy Bible thing or something like that. I mean, the point is, I'm like, why do we make these things up? Like, of course we could not do this. We need to do our whole 1 year process, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why? If it's awesome and everyone loves it and it looks good enough, let's get on a freaking, Google Meet or a Zoom and say, hey guys, we all like this. Good. All right. We'll get it set up in the ballparks, because I think fans are going to love it. So why wait a year?
Because the CBA states that there's a competition committee that has to vote, and if they approve it, it has to be a situation where 45 days notice is given. It used to be a year, and it's changed in recent times. That's a reasonable amount of time, I think, to have this kind of window. But to do it right away, Scott, even if it worked great, I know the scenario you're describing, it makes sense, right? If this is great, what's the delay? But I don't expect it's going to be completely great. And I expect that there will be some tweaks needed, some improvements, some adjustments. And I don't know that you want to rush into it, even if it works out really well. So again, let's see how it plays out, first of all. But that's what the CBA says, and you can't just break the CBA. Unless, I guess, if the league went to the union and said, hey, let's do this, then if the union said yes, I guess they could just abandon what they have in there.
Why not?
But I don't see that happening.
Okay.
All right. One of the YouTube questions that we had from I'm not even going to say it. Sorry. I can't even say it. I don't even know what the name is. I feel like I'm going to say a bad name, so I'm not going to read it. But the question is, which remaining free agent do you think is coming off the board next?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I do know some of the names that are still out there, and Quintana would be the obvious choice here to say the one that's coming off the board next, because he probably is the best one still remaining. I mentioned Kyle Gibson before. Lance Lynn is still out there. Alex Verdugo, from a position player standpoint, is still out there as well. So if I had to guess an answer, I would say Quintana. There are teams interested in him, as there should be teams interested in him. He had like a 3.11 ERA in the second half last year. I don't know what is the problem. I know what the problem is. He doesn't miss enough bats. That's the rap on certain guys now. But you know what? Not all pitchers do it the same way. And Jose Quintana is a pretty good pitcher and did a decent job for the Mets last year. He should be signed. The other guy that is someone to watch is David Robertson. I'm not sure what his intentions are, but he is the best reliever still out there.
I mean, it's always obviously a battle about price. We had Lance Lynn on the show not long ago, and he's like, yeah, I mean, got a number in my head. I've got to hit that number. His leverage is pitch for a while, got a lot of money, not desperate. I can wait things out. Curious as to your take on where we're at this point. I know we're into spring training. Is it pitchers maybe waiting for a team to unfortunately suffer an injury and say, okay, we need to get up to this value number? Because on the other side, some of the pitchers you mentioned seem to be in a similar tier. And my guess is that the offers might be more in that Andrew Heaney 5 range, and that group wants to get closer to the 15 range that people like Cobb, Scherzer, Verlander got, and even settling in the middle. My guess is right now the way teams play is, yeah, we'll give you the 1 year 5, and they want at least 10. Just kind of putting some easy numbers on it.
Scott, from what I've heard, it's not even 5. That's not the number they're proposing to these guys. It's lower. It's 2 or 3. And if you're Lance Lynn, and maybe even if you're Kyle Gibson, 1, you don't want to sell yourself short and take a number that you don't think is representative of who you are. 2, if you're one of those guys, now granted, they're not gazillionaires, but they've made money in their careers, and they don't necessarily want to play for that amount of money. Now, to me, it's a lot of money. To you guys, it's a lot of money. To everyone watching and listening, it's a lot of money. But baseball players, like all of us, measure themselves in a relative sense to their peers. And $2 million for a Lance Lynn or a Kyle Gibson is not representative in their minds, I'm sure, of who they are. So that is the issue. And yes, as injuries occur, you may see teams get a little more antsy, and you might see teams that have been holding back payroll finally say at some point, you know what, we need someone else. And I would put Milwaukee in that regard, perhaps. They need someone else. Maybe at some point they'll figure that out and get a starter or a reliever, better yet, both.
Ken, usually on this show, we're all business, and then AJ makes fun of you. So I want to ask a nice, fun Friday question, okay? What state is your favorite state to go to spring training? Is it Arizona or is it Florida?
If you ask any writer this question, I believe, other than the ones who might reside in Florida, you're going to hear Arizona. And Arizona is preferable for us as writers simply because of the proximity of the camps. It's a much more compact area. It's essentially the Phoenix greater metropolitan area. The furthest drive from any one point to the other is probably no more than an hour. Where in Florida, you're going all over the state. Now, there are central, or I should say, different areas of Florida where teams are, for the most part, located. Down in Fort Myers, there are the Red Sox, the Twins. The Rays are not far away. The Braves are not far away, going a little bit further north. Then you have the Orioles and Pirates in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, and then a few teams in Tampa, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Phillies. The Tigers are not far away. And then the East Coast, you've got the Mets, you've got the Cardinals, the Marlins, the Nationals, and I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2. So there are concentrated areas, yeah, but it's not as convenient as Arizona is. So that's my preference. That's nothing against the state of Florida per se. It's just against the way the thing's set up, and it's just easier in Arizona.
And then last question from me and everybody else. What is the best spring training site that you really enjoy and love during the spring?
I would say it used to be Dodger Town, back when the Dodgers were in Vero Beach. But right now, my guess would be the Giants in Scottsdale. And they have kind of a quaint stadium. It's sort of in the middle of downtown Scottsdale, right off to the side. So that's a really good one. I also love, in terms of just the facility and the beauty of the facility, Salt River Fields, where the Rockies and Diamondbacks are. That's one of my favorite places, period, to go. It's just beautiful there. And then in Florida, I don't know which one I would say is my favorite. They're all kind of similar.
The Red Sox made themselves. Oh, Yankees.
The Red Sox have a nice place. I mean, they're all nice, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. The Braves is beautiful. It's just kind of out of the way. And the Phillies in Clearwater and the Yankees in Tampa, those are cool places to go.
Yeah, sorry, interrupting. Red Sox, I like that they make a little Fenway action out of it. I just like the replica where you're like, oh, I get the feel of the big league park here. But cool. Awesome. Well, there you go. That was a nice, fun, easy segment there to finish. Ken, thank you very much for the time. Good to see you as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, FT fam, fair territory. Mondays, Thursdays. Ken on Mondays, Ken and Alana Rizzo on Thursdays. Live questions too on Thursdays with Grill and Ken. Be right back. All right, we're back. We have another opening day starter call out. The Angels announce Yusei Kikuchi will start game 1 of the season. Ron Washington said the choice was obvious given that he signed a big contract and was brought here to be a number 1. Don't look at the comments and after Sam Blum's tweet, unless you really enjoy laughing and maybe feeling a little bit sad for Angels fans and what they've gone through. But also this reply from Matthew Pouliot, a fantasy writer, who said Kikuchi's ERA plus sub-league average in 24, sub-league average career. He pointed out how Tyler Anderson had a better season in 24, also was their only all-star, and better career numbers. I see both sides here, guys. I mean, Kratz, they gave the big money to Kikuchi. He's their guy for the next few years. I think it's a big honor and respect thing for someone who also comes from overseas, who clearly thinks it's a big deal. He talked about it and said they already spoke about it, I think, in January. And you're like, really? It's that big of a deal? So I think it's cool. Tyler Anderson's going to be a free agent after this year. And Kikuchi was money down the stretch for Houston.
I mean, I guess that's why you sign the big contract. I mean, you get first rounders, they always got all the love in the minor leagues. So, you know, they get to do extra stuff. They get to go big league camp. So I guess it's the same when you sign, you know, 7-figure deal, 8-figure deal. What was it? 66. So that's 8 figures. I guess, you know, you're the big time guy. I wonder if there was some kickback there in the sense of, you know, the pitching coach from last year was saying, well, TA did legit for us. Like, he was our guy. He was our all-star. Like, some teams have the rule, whoever has the lowest ERA of the starters the previous year, you get to be the open day starter for the next year. So I don't know. I'm sure TA's a little bit if I were him, I would be a little bit pissed off too. But I understand it from a team point of view.
Yeah, and if I'm Kikuchi, I'm excited here. This is really awesome. I mean, how many guys can say that, you know, honestly, they've been opening day starter? I mean, I can honestly say I've done it when I was 11 and 12 years old. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. It was a dream come true. Shoved 6 innings.
Shocker.
1-hit ball. But, yeah, this is really cool. I mean, let's take all the numbers and everything out of it. He can pitch. The guy's a good pitcher. He's over there for a reason. Tyler Anderson can pitch too as well. You know, if I'm Tyler, I'm not taking this to heart. I know Tyler very well from playing against him. They're all going to be fine. Congrats.
FT fam, we're back. We're talking about some superstars here for the next few minutes, thanks to Arena Club sponsoring this next seg. arenaclub.com/foul. Go check it out, because if you go there, you get yourself 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. You got to use the code FOUL, FOUL. So here's what we're going to do, because we're going to be ripping slab packs in the future. I know a lot of you always ask about our card collections. We're going to have our showcases up there on Arena Club, so we can do a little buy, sell, trade. But today, they unveiled 3 slab packs, 3 stars that we're going to talk about, okay? And you probably know the name. So we'll show you what you're working with today. If you were participating in their slab packs, which anyone can do, if you go on there, right, and you buy a slab pack, you have a chance to win cards that are very fancy, very bougie, and very expensive. Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, all 3 cards featured in a variety of slab packs. Here's the Soto one. Can you read that estimated value for me, Todd Father? And we'll start talking about Soto first. What's the estimated value that people have a chance to get a hold of if they grab this card in a slab pack?
$22,000. It's a gorgeous one too, because he looks young. He looks like he's 12 in there. I like that. What is that? First Bowman right there? Wow.
Yeah. Bowman Chromeo, baby. 9.5 grade. Signed. 22 G's estimated value. We'll
find that one, Bradley.
I got to check. I got to check my stats. I mean, Whew, you pull that, John.
Yeah.
That's
You're
serious.
juiced. You're juiced. That's big.
All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to go down the line here on these players. So let's start with Soto because we don't do this very often. I want to take a very big picture approach to Soto. Todd Father, Juan Soto's Mets tenure is a success if blank. This actually applies to people in the hobby that are like, if I get a hold of a nice fancy Juan Soto card, how can the value go even higher? Obviously, there's obvious answers like MVP's World Series. Like, give me specifics though. What has to happen for you to look at this and be like, holy cow, this contract was worth it. This player is one of the best ever.
Taken away from winning a World Series, pretty much the ultimate prize, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, you can say World Series, but like, is one okay? Is one MVP okay? Just like, what has to happen over the next decade or so for you to be like,
forget about the individual accolades for now. For me, it would be a World Series title first and foremost. It would be winning division a handful of times, not just once. And then we go back to the individual stuff. Maybe a 60 homer year, 150 RBIs. Like there's something he's got to have something insane going on here. He is making this. I know pump the brakes maybe, but he's making a lot of money. And for cards, to keep going up and up, you're going to need to put some kind of crazy stat up there. But ultimately, a World Series championship and him taking off is going to make those cards worth even more.
To make the card worth the most, HOF. That's easy. Like, he's got to be a Hall of Famer. That would be the apex of making that card worthwhile. For the contract to be worthwhile, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say if they're still able to sign other superstars. Because if this contract inhibits the Mets, which I don't think it will, from signing other superstars, then it is a burdensome contract, no matter what he does on the field. But if they're still able to sign other guys, this contract has already paid for itself because it now puts the Mets on the map as the team that is going to be a destination because we have Juan Soto. We have one of the top 3 hitters in the game, year in and year out. Of course I'm going to go sign a 4-year contract. Juan's still going to be in his prime. Of course I'm going to go sign a 4-year contract. Juan is 3 years away from, finishing his Hall of Fame career. People will want to play with Juan Soto, and that alone will be worth the contract because you're getting so much surplus value out of this contract, and that's what everybody wants, surplus value in all contracts.
Okay, there you go. And so far, they've been able to obviously put a nice team around him. I mean, they're paying a lot of money to a lot of other dudes, so we'll see if that continues. I think it will, but good call on both. All right, let's get to Ohtani because this is one that you can pull in the slab pack that was dropped today. Todd Father signed Ohtani. Rookie.
Wow.
Estimated value is
$28,000, man. This is awesome.
So we're looking for the diamonds, is what you're telling me. We're looking for the diamond.
The diamond multi-sport pack. There's an Ohtani card in there, and you have a chance to win it. And those drops are Tuesdays and Fridays actually during the show. So if you pull one during the show and you send it in to us, like tag us on Instagram, then we'll show it on the show. Even if you don't pull one of those and you pull, a $2,000 card, we'd be like, cool, we'll show it off. Anyway, Ohtani, here's the deal. Yesterday, he spoke to the media about some potential changes. I'm interested to get your thoughts. A lot of guys try and get rid of the windup, right? For a variety of reasons. Maybe it's consistency. Maybe they think it'll keep them healthier. Bob Nightingale with the tweet from the Shohei Ohtani quote, because he pitched out of the stretch with the Angels. He's been experimenting with a full windup. Remember, he joins the Dodgers. He hasn't pitched with the Dodgers yet. I'm sure the Dodgers have their own guys that are telling him and girls what to do and what they think he should do. So in bullpen sessions, he's been tinkering. And he said, as part of it being a baseball player, I do want to explore different options, different avenues to see if I could grow as a player. And they were going back and forth with him, Kratz. And he essentially said that he's going to try this out. And there's not that much trying out, say, in the minor leagues or even in spring training, because he's going to basically kind of rehab as he's a hitter. So I think this is going to be a thing, at least for a little bit. He might ditch it in 5 seconds if it doesn't work. But are you good with this? Because it's Ohtani and he can do whatever he wants.
I'm good with any player that's at this elite level. Something that Japanese pitchers do a really good job of is understanding the balance and how they need to be in a position to throw the pitch. How they get there, saludamente.
Excuse me.
As they get there, I think it changes for each of them. And when he says he's from the stretch, he still has like a rock, kick, and go. And maybe from the windup, he can explore how this, maybe alleviates some pain from his elbow, or alleviates some stress from his legs or his arm, because he's creating a little bit more momentum and it's less of a push and drive. Obviously, this dude is smart. Yu Darvish was one of the most athletic pitchers I've ever watched from afar, where he would go out and throw however many pitches he threw the day before, right-handed in the game, he would go and throw them on a flat ground left-handed. So when you're talking about elite-level guys that know what their body's doing, these, Shohei could probably turn backwards and still be able to figure out how to throw a pitch.
Good call. Hey, Top 5, I'm going to get you to judge. Last one here, a little Ruby card action. Estimated value 15 G's on the little Ruby card plug today for the slab pack on Arena Club. Yes, these are real cards, people. Blockchain technology, you keep them in your showroom. If you want the card, you let them know. They send it to you. You want to pull one of these and then sell it through the app. Awesome. All right. Here's my question for you on Aaron Judge. It's a legacy question again. He's a Yankee. The Yankees have a history of a lot of World Series wins. Obviously not much in the 21st century besides 2009. Given that the Yankees are almost always in the playoffs and Judge is one of the best players in this era, does he have to win a World Series for us to look at him as legend status, or can he just be a stud and it's baseball? It takes more than one player to do this. The reason I ask this differently from others is because you get so much time in the playoffs. He has had some recent downs in the playoffs. So in your mind, when we wrap up his career, does it have to have a title?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because I think, you're judged on a bunch of things, how you were as a teammate, you're judged on your performance, and you're judged on, accolades, whether it's singular or plural. When I mean by that, World Series, Hall of Fame, home runs. So he's got that in the bag. I think, honestly, he's a stud, man. And I don't know what else he needs to do in the regular season besides put up 40, 50 plus home runs each year. But a World Series would be huge. And, I think we brought him up already. I think of Donnie Baseball, man. He was absolute stud. He did well. I didn't put up the home run numbers, don't get me wrong, but he was somebody to be reckoned with. He didn't win a World Series, not in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be. But, my opinion really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we knew him as an absolute beast, and he was one of the great Yankee baseball players. And it's gonna have to be World Series for me, for sure.
I'm with you.
Todd said
I'm with
his chest.
Yeah, he did. I'm totally with you. Just based on
that's not taking
who
away
he is
from
in the
how
team
nasty
part.
and good of a baseball player.
You said
Of
it.
course,
You said it.
of course.
No,
And
I
don't
want
put
that card to
same
go up, you
onus.
gotta win.
I agree. And I don't put that same onus on every player. Mike Trout, when he had his glory days, didn't have the supporting cast at all. It's not like Judge had the perfect supporting cast for all these years, but I do feel like he's going to feel it more than some others just based on the uniform. That's me. All right. Anyway, Arena Club, thanks for helping us out with this segment. Yes, the cards are real. Blockchain technology helps you keep them in your showroom on the app. You want the card, you let them know it happens. Okay. Use code FOUL, FOUL, to receive 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. We'll do segments like this with some of the big name players, so we make sure we give you the perspective that you need on the legends. All right, we're back. Let's just do this. I'm going to list off a bunch of signings that happened over the past 24 hours. Many of the names you actually know well because they've been on our show pretty frequently. But Todd Father, we got in the past 24 hours, we talked about Ross Stripling yesterday, signing with the Royals, Ryan Yarbrough to the Blue Jays, Andrew Heaney to the Pirates, Rowdy Tellez to the Mariners. You got any you want to highlight?
No, I mean this is a really good one here. I mean, Rowdy's been looking for somebody. We're going to see a lot of minor league deals here coming up here shortly.
So-
It's the best of it's the good and bad because you're finally signing with somebody, but 8, 9 times out of 10, you're not making a big league club. You're gonna have to find your way on there. So, we love Rowdy. We're happy for him, and hopefully he goes out of spring and just dominates and makes them wonder why he's not on the big league team.
I mean, I said it yesterday. I love Chicken Strip going to the Royals. Opportunity, just go do what you do. We don't need you to be anybody else. He doesn't need to fit into a mold. So, and I mean, Heaney, good job. Andrew Heaney's gonna get himself a little contract there and get traded halfway through the year.
Yep, exactly. And for Rowdy, this is actually a good opportunity because the Mariners can't afford anyone, so they have to hand out minor league contracts and just see who will take them. For Rowdy, he might have a chance to run with this opportunity. And personally, I'm excited because if he does thrive in the beginning of the season, he is definitely the kind of guy that's going to say everyone else in the league is soft and it's fine. It's not that hard to hit in Seattle. He's going to do that, Kratz. He's going to be like, yeah, everyone else just doesn't know what they're doing. They're staring at someone in the stands. They should be staring at the baseball.
That's hard to say. When he comes on, we're gonna have to ask him, is the batter's eye straight or not? I have a hard time saying that because then he's gonna go up his next at bat and be like,
"Oh, you don't want to throw him off." I mean, come on. It's not like he hasn't heard that in camp.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you from a player's standpoint. I hated when dudes come back and like, dude, there's a bright spot right next to the batter's eye. I see it. You go up there and you're like,
now you're looking for
it. Like it's like not subconscious, but like it's a distraction. That's why dudes on Adderall were always so much better at hitting because they just never they were never distracted by squirrel.
Clip that.
Thanks, Frank.
Hey, we've got our friend Tricia Whitaker joining us right now, Apple TV, Friday Night Baseball Sideline Reporter. We'll talk a little national topics. We'll hit a little Rays storylines. Good to see you, Tricia. You excited to get rolling with the full sketch, the road travel, the whole deal?
So excited. I think our Apple TV schedule is coming out soon, and I cannot wait. I'm sick of the snow. I teach in Indiana in the off season at Indiana University, and I am so excited to have some warmer spring weather for baseball. So, yes, you hit the nail on the head, Scott. I'm excited.
Professor
Okay.
Whitaker? Okay,
Professor Whitaker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you write your name on the board in cursive?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm one of those weirdos. I write in half cursive, half like print sometimes. It really screws with people. But hey, you guys are welcome to come in as guest speakers anytime you want. They would love it. I have some huge baseball fans in there. Come on.
What do you teach?
I teach sports broadcasting. So it's right up your alley.
Calculus, Todd. She
baseball
needs you
fan?
for calculus. You in?
What did you think she taught? Biochem?
Listen, she could be an entrepreneur and all this shit. Yeah, listen, she could be like something, biology. You never know.
Physics, are they? I teach physics with a heavy emphasis on physics. Yeah, that's what I teach.
Oh, geez,
yes.
I need help. I'm going to come to class, so I need to butter up.
Todd wants to be a student.
I need the help. Of course.
All right. Well, invite accepted. I'm in. Anytime. Let us know.
Huge
we'll
baseball fans.
Yeah.
Huge baseball fans making fun of their size.
Next Wednesday.
I feel like we're all next Wednesday. Yeah, let us know. Seriously, just let us know. One of us are in. Not Kratz because he's at spring training. I'll take first dibs, and then we'll go from there. Seriously. All right, we're doing business on the show. Now let's get to business on the field. First off, Yankees facial hair policy dropped. What were your thoughts on it before? Okay, there. Exactly. Thank you. We're going to do our own segment on it soon, but give me your perspective on what we saw because, Tricia, for years, you covered a Rays team that would not have been a big fan of that policy. They were very loose, fun. Exactly.
Do you think Andrew Kittredge, who went out there looking like a frickin' woodsman, would be a fan of that policy if he ever had to play for the Yankees? No, I didn't like that policy. I'm a facial hair girl. I love the beard. It's a great look. I think it's just a very manly, masculine look. So I like the facial hair look. I love that they did away with it because it was always funny to see guys go to the Yankees who they were like known for their facial hair and then they had to shave it all off and then they looked like a naked mole rat or something, you know? So now they won't have to deal with that. But I love it. Get rid of that policy. It's archaic. And I think you should let guys be themselves. There's something to be said for facial hair. It's a good look.
Did you say a naked mole rat? I don't even think you know. If you saw a naked mole rat in a lineup of other rats or moles, I don't think you could pick one out.
Have you ever seen Kim Possible on Disney Channel? I'm pretty sure her sidekick is a naked mole rat. That's what a guy looks like when he shaves off his beard. Look it up.
I'm gonna have to look that up. What I asked Ken Rosenthal when he was on before, I said, Ken, where were you when you saw your first ABS? So that's what I look like.
Oh my God.
I can see why they call it naked. It looks naked more so than most animals.
Exactly. And ask any girl. She will tell you that when a guy who should not shave off his beard shaves off his beard, he looks like a naked mole rat. It's the same thing when beards are like makeup for men, you know? It covers up part of their face that probably shouldn't be seen, you know?
James Harden. See, James Harden without a beard.
It's not
exactly.
Not it at all.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I think men should wear makeup and women shouldn't, but that's a whole completely different topic because men are ugly, especially this guy that's sitting next to me.
45 seconds in, we're off the rails. This is going great.
We're off the rails. Yeah, I wasn't talking about Todd. I was talking about JT. But my question for you is the exact same question I asked Ken Rosenthal. Where were you when you saw your first ABS challenge in a big league quotation marks game? And was it just so epic?
Well, I haven't seen one yet, but I mean, obviously I've read about him, right? But I, if you're asking what my opinion is on it, which I believe is what you're asking, obviously I think it's a really great idea. I think the only thing that I've kind of heard from players is, you know, sometimes they think that it might slow down the game a little bit. And that's definitely a downfall of it. But I think overall it's a good idea. I mean, the biggest thing, you know, when I covered the Rays for 6 seasons, one of the guys who was driven crazy by the umpires' calls behind the plate was Jose Siri. He would always come back to the dugout and he would say, why can't they see it? Why can't they see it? And we would usually look at it on the iPad, and a lot of the times he would be right? So I think that this definitely helps with those types of complaints. I don't ever want to take the human element away from baseball for sure, but I do think that it's time for that, and I think it's a good thing. And I think overall, from what I've heard from players, they like it, and I like it too.
Yeah, fans are going to love it. It's going to be very fun for them to chant for the challenges. So let's hit some storylines on the Rays right now. All right, 4 questions for Tricia on Tampa Bay. Get ready for that open air vibe. Minor league Wi-Fi is a very famous term on this show when someone has bad connection, but they do literally have minor league Wi-Fi. Junior Caminero is a stud. We'll see what he looks like in his first full season. And Mac is back. Shane McClanahan's awesome. So I think people obviously forgot about him, but he is one of the better pitchers in baseball, at least a couple years back. And AL Beast, it's a very good division. It looks like it got better. All right, let's start at the top here, Tricia. I know you talked about this on Fair Territory when you were on with Ken recently. I feel like there's actually a lot of pros and cons with this situation because you don't want to be at a minor league park, but the Yankees park's pretty swaggy. It's nice. And it gives some fans an opportunity to get to the park that wouldn't go otherwise. How do you think this is all going to play out?
I actually don't think it's going to be as bad as people might think it's going to be because, I mean, nobody really liked the Trop, right? Players don't like the Trop. Fans don't like the Trop. Ask anybody, and if they tell you they like the Trop, it's total team talk, right? So I don't think it's going to be necessarily a detriment to the team. I think obviously, you can fit more people in the Trop and all that stuff, but that's not an option because of the hurricane. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. It's going to give a lot of Rays fans in Tampa a chance to go to the game. I've said this before. I said it, in Fair Territory the other day, and a lot of people don't want to say it. People don't come to St. Pete for the games, and that hasn't changed since 1998, right? And the stadium, in my opinion, should be in Tampa. It shouldn't be in St. Pete. And so I think it's going to give people a taste of what the fan base would look like if it was more accessible to the Tampa area. And so I think it's going to be good for them. I mean, I know that obviously in Florida, every single day for a few months during the summer, it rains at 4 p.m. That's going to suck. That's really going to suck. And I think in Florida, you have to have a roof. It's just, you have to have a roof. But I think it's going to be fun for them. I really don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. I know, it cost $50 million to get that ballpark into MLB compliance. And so that definitely took a lot of work to improve the facilities, but I think they've done it. And I think it's actually going to be a really cool experience for a lot of Rays fans on that side of the bridge that didn't generally like to go to St. Pete because that bridge takes an hour to get across most of the time. So I think it's actually going to be positive for them.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, when someone's going to say we missed the Trop, it's going to be right after the 3-hour rain delay that they start, and then you're finishing your story at 12:30 at night, and you're like, pitch clock who? I want the Trop.
No, you're right, but that's why you have to have a roof, in a baseball stadium in Florida. But I mean, that brings up a whole nother set of issues that they're going to have when it comes to this whole stadium ordeal. So.
Someone who's not going to care is Junior Caminero. He has got a starting spot. Thank you. He has got a starting spot at third base.
Class. That's perfect.
I need it. I definitely need it. But he's got to start at third base. What's the outlook? Are they looking for him to be this guy that we watched in winter ball, this guy that just carried his winter ball team and was blasting balls all over the ballpark? Or are they looking for him to just settle in and be a consistent everyday third baseman?
I think it's fair to say both, right? I think you can say both. I think they're looking for him to be both. And I think that the Winter League championship was a really, really cool moment for Junior Caminero. I loved covering Junior. He's a good kid. He's an energetic kid. He supports his teammates. He's not a selfish teammate, at least from what I saw. Obviously, there can be other opinions out there, I'm sure, about everybody. But from what I saw, he's a good teammate, and he brings energy to that team. And that Winter League championship, when he hit that go-ahead 454-foot home run in the top of the ninth, that's Junior in a nutshell, right? He has the capability of performing in those big moments. He has the capability of being an elite hitter. He said recently that he's targeting 30 home runs this season and that he just wants a ring. Obviously, everybody wants a ring. But I think at such a young age, having some of those lofty goals is awesome. And then obviously during Winter League, he got to pick Albert Pujols' brain. And that had to be fun for him. He told the media the other day that he was always asking him, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And that it was a daily thing for him. So he's coming into camp with a lot of confidence, with a lot more knowledge. He came to camp a week earlier than he was required to. So that's pretty cool to see. And I'm a big Junior Caminero fan after covering him. And my favorite, and the thing about Junior, you guys, is how much, I know this can sound like a cliche phrase sometimes, but how much he loves the game. He loves the game of baseball. I remember when I was doing an Apple TV game last year, he told me that Manny Machado was like his childhood idol. So I'm doing an interview with Junior about Manny Machado and the fact that he was going to play on the same field as Machado that game against the Padres. He starts crying, like tears streaming down his face because he was so overtaken with just joy that he was going to be on the same field as his childhood idol. And then after the game, they arranged for him to go meet Machado and they exchanged jerseys and all of that. And it was one of the coolest moments of the season for me because sometimes you go to the park every day and you forget, hey, this is the coolest job in the entire world. You're caught up in what you have to do. But a moment like that happens and you're just like, oh, damn, this is really what it's all about. Like a young Junior Caminero looking at what he's doing now, would just be in tears. And that was such a cool moment. So big Junior Caminero fan. I expect huge things from him this season. And I think we're going to see it.
Another fan that we are big on is young Shane McClanahan. His kid is an absolute stud. He did not play all 2024. What do you expect from this guy coming into this year? He's healthy, ready to rock. 6th in the Cy Young voting a couple years ago. Talk to me a little bit about him.
Shane McClanahan is a beast on the mound. He's intense on the mound. He's intense on his start days. He's intense not on his start days. He's a funny guy. He's a good guy, but he cares very, very deeply about his performance. Everybody cares about their performance, but I do think that there are some guys who probably have a little bit more passion than others when it comes to their skill set and what they can do. And I think the other day, after he faced hitters, he said, he felt no different than he remembered it feeling, back in August of 2023 before, he had to have Tommy John. And they said he looked very close to himself. And, I think Cash said it really well when he told the media the other day. He said, Shane makes it different on the field for us. He just does, because he does. He was throwing 97, 98 when he was facing live hitters in BP. And so I think he's in store for really, really big season. He's in line to make his 3rd consecutive opening day start. And I think, they're going to have to manage him a little bit. But if there's one thing about Shane, like I said before, he's intense. He's not going to want to be taken out of the game. So the Rays are going to have to manage him. That'll be up to Rays pitching coach Kyle Snyder and Kevin Cash to just talk to him, set expectations, and it'll be up to Shane to trust them, because if you also know anything about Shane, you know that being taken out of games early really angers him. It makes no pitcher happy, but for him, it really makes him upset. So I'm expecting huge things from him, and I really enjoyed covering him when I was with the Rays. It was an interesting look into a pitcher who takes what he does very, very, very seriously. So big things from Shane this season.
I love watching the best arms face the best lineups. Unfortunately for the Rays, they do have a really good arm, but they got to face the Sox, who are much improved. They got to face the Yankees and the Orioles 13 times each. Is this too much of a beast of an East this year for the Rays? Like, your voice sounds a little sad. I can see it in your face. Is this a little bit too much for the Rays?
Let's see. How do I put this? I will always be cheering for the Rays just because I spent so much time there, got to know the fan base, the organization, the team, everybody. I do think it's going to be a very, very big challenge for them. They can outmatch people with pitching. Run prevention is their priority and defense is their priority. But the hitting and the bats, that's just the thing that, last year at times was really, really difficult to watch. And competing in the AL East with the lineup that they have, it's going to be challenging. And I don't know. Yeah, there you go. There's their projected starting lineup. Obviously, you have Yandy Diaz. Brandon Lau, when Brandon Lau is hot, he's hot. When he's not, he is not, right? Junior, if he can take a step forward this year. Josh Lowe has had times where he's very, very hot. Danny Jansen, I know, when he's good, he's good. He's coming off a little bit of a shaky offensive season. The bottom of that lineup definitely needs to prove themselves at the plate. But to put it nicely, I think it's going to be a challenge for them in the AL East this year offensively. Obviously, we know pitching-wise, they're good to go. Defense, tops in the league. That's their bread and butter, right? But I do think that they are going to have a difficult time in a stacked East this year offensively. And I hate to say that, but I do think that's going to be a challenge for them. But, hey, hopefully we can clip this at the end of the season and you guys will be like, you were wrong. They were really, really good.
Surprisingly, we did power rankings yesterday, and there were quite a few Rays fans who were like, where are we at? I'm like, relax, okay? It's not like you made the playoffs last year. Like, if things do emerge in the beginning of the season, we'll put you in the top 10, but they did not deserve to be in the top 10. Let's be real.
No. They don't right now. But Rays fans are always going to be, what I learned about them is they're always the ones that are like, hey, what about us? Hey, what about us? rightfully so, because let's face it, when they do well, they don't get a ton of coverage or a ton of credit, right? So in those 5 straight years that they made the playoffs when I was there, I remember it even making me mad, and I don't take one swing of the bat. But I was like, nope, why isn't anybody talking about them? They are very, very good, especially when you consider their payroll and what they did with that. So the Rays fans definitely have that mentality of like, hey, hello, here we are. Please don't forget about us. And it's valid. This year, potentially not valid with what you were talking about, Scott. But I understand their mentality after seeing it the last 6 seasons.
Yeah, it's fair. Under the radar. No doubt about it. Tricia, you're the best. Thank you so much. Great to see you. And we'll all see you in class for our sessions.
Yes. My students are going to be so excited. I'm going to clip this and show them. They're going to be pumped.
We're in. Hey, class. Hey, fam. Thanks, Tricia. Talk soon.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Big news today is that the Yankees have amended their polarizing facial hair policy. This is cool. I know it will not sit well with some of the more, hardcore old-time fans that, really got used to the clean-shaven look. But this is not an ancient policy. This was instituted by George Steinbrenner in the 70s. And I think it's great that the Yankees are going to allow some well-groomed beards moving forward. Poor Devin Williams, he just got it shaved. Yeah, I mean, that would suck to have this massive beard and you get to camp and you hit the razor and you shave it all. And then a couple of days later, Hal's like, you know what? Never mind. Go ahead and grow it back. Oh, man. Tough luck for Mr. Devin Williams. But look, I think it says something about Hal that he's willing to accept the feedback from former players and make this change. I think he saw Devin Williams without his beard and was just like, nah, man, let's get that guy some facial hair again.
Big news from Hal Steinbrenner. I'm going to sum it up for you, okay? The Yankees facial hair policy is dead. Burn it. RIP. One of the biggest loser policies in Major League history is gone.
Whoa.
Players rejoicing everywhere. Yeah. Bring us on. Todd Frazier and Kratz both played for the New York Yankees. They had to be clean shaven. They would like it to still be well groomed. Todd Frazier, were you surprised to see this news? And did they do the right thing?
I want to do this gif where the guy's just looking at, and his eyes are like, loser? Like, what are you talking? No, I just say that. Don't say that.
Oh, yeah, I'll say that.
Hey, listen, this is breaking news, and I think it's hysterical. I got to be honest with you. something that the Yankees have implemented for a lot of years now. I know we heard Ken talking how Don Mattingly wanted to change. It's a new time. It's a new era. It's totally different. I kind of liked it, if you want the truth. I mean, you go to a different organization, they have their own set of rules. They want you to do certain things. Now I'm into facial hair. I've been having facial hair for a lot of years now. Every once in a while, I'll shave it off. My kids will be a little annoyed. But yeah, I'm an old school guy, like the old school way. The Yankees, that's what made them the Yankees. Everybody hated, oh, you go to hell, you can't have facial hair. That was part of their persona. You're disciplined. You come to the ballpark making sure you look good. I mean, when you go to any other job, you're not going in there scruffy if you're wearing a suit and tie. It is what it is. And am I upset that it's gone? No, I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. But it was kind of their persona and their intuition of saying, listen, these are the Yankees. We got steps and we got rules and we got to live by these. And this is what makes us, they believe, to be a better organization. So we're looking here. Gleyber Torres didn't believe it at first. So I thought it was a joke that we're seeing from Evan Woodbury. So some people are going to be excited. Either way, I'm on both sides of the fence. If you're mad, I'm happy with you. If you're not, okay. It's what you believe in.
It's a polarizing subject, facial hair. Facial hair that you have a choice to keep or not to keep, but then you go somewhere and they're like, nah, we don't want it. What I love the most is what Aaron Boone said. I don't know if we have the quote or not. I just saw it. Ryan Hoke tweeted it, and he said, if we've heard around the league from players that would say, I'm not going to the Yankees because of the facial hair policy. Right or wrong? Aaron Boone said, if we just miss out on one player that could help us win a World Series, then it's a bad policy, which is 100% true.
True.
I don't think any player that's going to get the right amount of money is that attached to their beard that they can grow back. But I also saw in Houston in 2016, Dallas Keuchel and I were in the weight room. Jim Crane, the owner, came in, very successful businessman, has other businesses other than the Astros. So this was 2016 before they went on to be the team. They were just starting to be the team that we know them as now. And he said, you know what? He said, not one person in my other businesses has a beard like Dallas Keuchel. But also, not one person in the other businesses can win a Cy Young like Dallas Keuchel. So he was being honest about it. He was being honest. He was meeting the player where they were. And he said, you know what? I have this standard in my other businesses. It doesn't fly here. So good for Hal being the one that says, you know what? I'm willing to bend a little bit, but don't abuse this privilege. Don't be coming in here looking like a homeless, scraggly person beard either.
Entertainment business is sports. It was un-American. And they spoke to the big boys. Yes, it was. They spoke to the big boys. Judge, Cole, Giancarlo, they all said it was trash. We can go back and we can look at Devin Williams and how he felt like a little boy. And also, by the way, it would have been cool to let everyone know about this, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. So we didn't have everyone shaving their beards. Williams, Goldschmidt, etc. I'm pretty happy
here's
about
the challenge.
Wait, tell me what you said to me before when you saw Derek talking about, how do you remember? You don't.
I forget what I said.
How you said it's not like you can't grow it back.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, Derek Lewandowski of Pinstripe Territory said on his show, he's like, oh, I wish they would have told these guys ahead of time. This is just unbelievable. Like,
they'll never grow facial hair
before opening day. They're going to get a nice little beard back together. Like, it's not like they said, hey, everybody, you got to go bald.
Ooh.
Like, it's not coming back.
Ooh.
Like, I got nothing coming back up here. So you know what? When I went to the Yankees and I shaved this off, I'll tell you what the kids say, my riz went up. I'm just saying. I don't got that great of a beard right now.
What kids are we talking about?
The kids.
I don't know any kids that say that to you.
No, the kids didn't say it to me.
Yeah, no,
the kids say the word riz, like skibbity riz and stuff like that.
That scared me a little bit, and I was in a good place.
No, I got big time charisma when I shaved all my face, so I didn't mind it. I'll be honest with you.
That was chilling.
How did other players feel about it?
Majority didn't like it.
Thank you.
Majorities didn't like it.
But they did it. They
But
didn't.
they did
They
it.
said, "Hey, I wish I had facial hair," but they didn't. They weren't going about it like every day. Oh, this facial hair. Take one of those electric razors every other day, and you're, at least for me, I would have my skin almost there. It depends on what kind of electric razor you had, and then you take the buzzer that makes it nice and tight. 2 or 3 days, you do that, you're fine. I'm not into the
blade.
The blade. I'm not the single blade at a barbershop, I'm good. But the shit quadruple, duples, that I get the razor bumps. I couldn't do that.
I love the blade. But I want to hit on what Scott said.
Please do.
Scott, it's un-American. Un-American.
Oh God, Scotty.
It's not un-American. A beard is not a beard.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's weird.
Country. It's not a race. It's not even entertainment. A beard is not entertainment. Entertainment is what you're putting out there, the product you're putting on the field. The Yankees are not the Yankees because of a beard or no beard policy. The Yankees are the Yankees because of the tons of graffiti they have in the rafters called championships and pennants. That's why the Yankees are the Yankees, and that's why this rule was okay that they changed it, but it was also okay that they had a rule, because if you don't have standards, and I'm not saying I'm going to be the one to say what the standards are, and I'm the one that has to set these standards. Each organization can set their own standards, and to say it's un-American so then all kids who can't grow a beard, like my boys are trying to grow these beards out, and it's just like little patches. It's like, no, like
I didn't say you have to have one, Kratz. I said preventing one. It's weird. I brought this up recently.
American. Don't like it.
No, it's true. You're telling these grown men how they have to wear their face. It's just weird. I'm like, why do you care? Oh, I'm sorry, boss. Are you staring at my face all day? Yeah, but this isn't another job. I don't care about the other jobs. This is baseball.
The other jobs are important too.
So
teachers,
I understand, but every job is different. Every job is different. Also,
so
I don't believe in the policy anywhere. Okay, I don't believe in the policy anywhere. I just think it's stupid. It's weird. I just think it's like a weird fetish thing from somebody that came up with it and they just wanted to carry it through. Sorry, I'm very heated about this topic because I always thought it was weird. And most players I spoke to thought it was weird. And like Kratz said, if you lose one player because of it, and you're an organization that prides yourself on winning, then it is a loser policy. And if the superstars on your current team tell your ownership group it's weird, outdated, out of touch, unfair, these are all things that were said to them over the years. And again, in spring training, they finally got smart and switched it. So I'm giving them credit for finally waking up.
I agree with you, but most of those guys that said it's a loser policy probably didn't play for the team and understood the tradition of Yankee baseball. That being said, are you a big component on names on the back of jerseys? Because that's another thing that's next. People are going to be like, all right, well, we got one down. How about the other? I think no name should be on the back. I'm a no-namer guy.
For every jersey or just for Yankees?
I think just for Yankees. Should they change it?
I don't care as much. This was the one I was dying on. I don't care as much. No, that's not an American. Yeah, but Todd, I can go the other way too, okay? You're a Yankee, right? And they're like, hey, Yankee policy, we all wear thongs. That's what we do. You going out there and wearing a thong? What's the line? You're taking the line the other way. Come on.
Yeah, I wasn't going to the depths of the earth here. Okay, I mean, didn't Derek Jeter wear a thong or something? Wasn't that a story or something?
Giambi, the good luck thong. Hey, if it produces hits, maybe some do. But I'm just saying, I thought this to me was the line. That's all. And I'm not going off me, guys. I'm in spring training, and guys always made fun of it when you'd be around them. They're, oh, here come the Yankees, but they're shaved off beards. They're so much better than everyone else, and it was weird.
Who wore the first thong ever? I mean, whoever invented that, incredible.
What's the next, Scott? What's the next rule? Because now you don't have any rules. You've gotten rid of all the rules.
Yeah.
What's the next rule that you need to get rid of? Because if the beard,
a lot of my call outs have been working. Okay, so other things that I was dying on were the unlimited timeouts in our sport, because that's not how the game was originally crafted. Right. That was actually an old school thought, bringing in new school. That was what I was dying on 10 years ago. I was like, Yanni Molina, Brian McCann, etc. I was like, you are calling timeout every batter in playoff baseball. Do you really have to go over the game plan every batter? Because that's not how baseball was created. And I was dying on that hill. And it was gone. They created timeouts. Pitch clock, huge fan for years. Thought they should have implemented it 10 years ago when I was calling it in Arizona Fall League games. That was next. Facial hair policy was the one that I was going after on the stylistic side. Let me ask you a question, Kratz. You love when players show off their bats and their unique uniforms. And the uniforms were so messed up last year that they couldn't even do Players Weekend correctly. So isn't this an extension of showing off your style and your swag in the game? We like when the guys show up with cool outfits to the ballpark. So we talk about style in the sport. Isn't this a part of that, part of your personality?
Kind of. Yeah, it is. It can be. It definitely can be. It can be, the Brian Wilson beard. You talk about other dudes that have big time beards. So it can be an extension of that. But it's okay to have tradition and is heritage the right word? Tradition. Like it used to be, I think in the and probably Derek Lewandowski could probably tell us on pinstripe territory, but the Yankees used to never sell Yankees hats. And the ownership of the Yankees said, you want a Yankees hat? You got to make the team. And those are the only people that get them. Now look at what the most sold hat is. So, you know what? Some traditions are good. They leave a legacy, and now we'll never know.
I'm not anti-tradition. I just thought this one was stupid and dated. So that's all. I went after it. Pitchforks, the whole deal.
I'd hear some old school Yankee guys come out and be a little angry about this. Just letting you know.
That's fine. I did. When I first brought this up on one of our first shows. Yeah, guys, I brought this up on one of our first shows a couple years back, and the comments on TikTok were pretty off, pretty weird in terms of what they thought I believed in, but it is what it is. The only other call out I do have is really, we just figured this out. To me, I think it's innocent where Hal Steinbrenner, who makes that call, is just at spring training. He's like, oh yeah, let's figure this out right now. So better late than never, but I'm like, could have done it 2 weeks ago, but it's fine. They figured it out now early in spring training. So anyway, if you're catching this later on, leave us some comments. I know that a lot of people are very, very opinionated one way or another on it. So, but I wanted to bring fire to it. Yeah, I don't do this very often. But.
Or maybe they did it after picture day.
All right, one thing we can all agree on. Raise your hand if you like a good slip and slide.
Oh, God.
How could you not? Like, are you serious?
You better be raising your hand at home.
Downhill, like make it even – like I like watching videos of people doing like monster slip and slides into lakes and stuff.
Love it.
Like it is really, really fun.
You know why I ask?
Because my boy – Huddy, base running coach with the Red Sox, got the boys out there at the end of the day doing your sliding practice, which is not abnormal. You always have to try to slide and practice 1 or 2 slides before your first game, and it's usually the last day of workouts, and it's the last thing you do. Some guys begrudgingly do it, and they have sliding pads. Not the Red Sox. The Red Sox broke out the slipping, but I love it. I gotta text Huddy about it. I'm so excited.
That's a creative way to do spring training. There it is. That's cool. I'm a fan. Todd Father, you'd be all over this. They'd be like, Todd Father, we got to take this away. It's 7 p.m. It's getting dark. Todd Father, we got to go.
Yeah, no, I would be all over this. I know back when I was with the Reds, they made like a big-time watery patch in one section, and instead of, you have the sliding mats you used to do? They soaked this one spot for about 15, 20 feet, and
grounds crew hated you.
Grounds crew wasn't happy about it, but that was at the end of practice. And then the clubbies are like, really, this is great. Yeah. And I don't know why they did it, but it was fun. So you knew how to slide after that.
Keep it exciting.
Yeah.
Keep it exciting. I would definitely have been caught, because I think what they were trying to do, because I watched other videos of it, they were trying to teach the holding on to the base because of instant replay guys popping off. The video we watched, it was Bregman just like sliding through and ending up on his back. A little different when you're making $40 million a year than when you're making, the
agreed.
league minimum.
Agreed.
This is only going to hit for a small subset of fans, but Google Tim Robinson zipline. I don't know. For some reason, it just reminded me of that. It's one of the best skits ever. It's a few minutes long. Just Google it later on. It's worth it. That's all I'm going to say. It's from a show, so you think you could, or think you should leave. That's what it's called. Anyway, be right back with Giraffe Neck Mark. Yeah. Write it down, Kratz. You personally would love it. All right, our buddy Giraffe Neck Mark is here. Marc Luino, who is co-host of Metsed Up, part of the FT Network, the FT fam. Giraffe Neck Mark. Mark, great to see you, man. Appreciate the time. And I will just preface this. We'll go right into storylines because we're tight on time. I know Kratz is concerned. He's concerned here. I want to include this, Kratz. We'll do this within the storylines question. But the one thing I do want to bring up before we start, Mark, is we got a couple comments yesterday from Mets fans saying, what is it? You guys don't like the Mets? They're the only team you haven't covered. No, they're the last team we cover for storylines because we wanted to make sure that we got all the moves out of the way because this team was wheeling and dealing a little bit. So that's a compliment. So we're saving best for last.
Yeah, no, love it. Love it. I mean, I'm happy to be on the show. Happy to be talking about the Mets. A lot of good things going on for the Orange and Blue this year. I'm pumped.
That's right. So let's hit storylines and you'll like this little animation we got.
Okay.
Let's run through the game plan here as we preview the New York Mets this season. The $765 million man. What's it going to look like in year one? Polar Bear is back with the Metropolitans, so the lineups should be really cranking. What about the pitching lab magic that really struck last year? Can it strike again? Obviously, Montas is hurt already. Manaea's back. Clay Holmes in the rotation. And then the bullpen, is it better? It was definitely a question mark last year. I felt like they didn't think they were going to be in NLCS team. So if they were, they probably would have loaded up a little bit more, but they got Minter. So we'll see if it looks better now. All right, let's start at the top here. Giraffe Neck Mark, Juan Soto. It's real. I know it still feels weird, but it's real. What's this going to look like in the lineup?
Yeah, it's pretty insane that he's on this team. Like watching all the videos of him taking BP and interacting with the guys and just having Mets stuff on is still insane. I mean, you slot this guy right into the 2-hole, I think, in this lineup, and you instantly have two of the best top of the order guys right now with Lindor and Soto, and then you have some power behind them with Vientos, Alonso, whichever way you want to go there. Maybe even Nimmo moves up in the lineup. Just adding one of the best players in Major League Baseball to a lineup that was good enough last year. They want to be better, and that's the way you do it. You grab a guy like Juan Soto, who doesn't just help on the power department, but gets on base, is one of the just best offensive players in the entire league.
Yeah, you got the polar bear, big doggy. This guy, we've been talking about him for a lot, whether he's going to go back with the Mets, whether or not he will. Finally made a decision to come back there. Is this the right decision? Is Pete happy? Talk a little bit about the Mets and where they're moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Pete's not as 100% happy. I mean, you know that he wanted a big contract. He wanted to get those years. He wanted to get that money. And obviously that's not what ended up happening. But I'm sure that Pete at a base level is pretty excited. I mean, he's getting paid like close to $30 million this year to play first base for the Mets. I really don't think that he ever wanted to leave New York. Everything that I've heard, he loved the city, loved playing for the team, wanted to be a part of this team. It's just he wanted to get paid. Unfortunately, he's coming off of one of his weaker seasons, which was still really good. I think a lot of people forget that he was a great player still last year, but money-wise and maybe contract-wise, not happy. But I think in terms of fit and feel and just kind of whole attitude and atmosphere, I think Pete's super pumped to be able to hit behind two amazing players in Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor.
Big year from Pete. But the biggest year that the Mets are going to need is that pitching lab magic. Are they going to be able to redo what they did with Severino, how they helped Sean Manaea? Because Sean Manaea is going to have to replicate what he did. And they were hoping Frankie Montas was going to, but he's already starting the season late. And Clay Holmes hasn't really been that great of a starter. So is this really where the Mets are leaning on? And is it too big of a crutch to lean on with such a great lineup?
I think it's definitely going to be really scary at first, but this is kind of the chaos David Stearns experience. I mean, even look at the teams that he had in Milwaukee with the Brewers. It felt like every single year going into the season, you would say, we need more pitching. That Brewers team needs to go get a big arm. They need to go get a frontline starter. And that's kind of where the Mets lie. But a couple big things that are going to really help this team out is one, having Kodai Senga back and healthy for the entire year is so massive for this team. He was incredible for them in 2023 in his first season. And while he got to pitch towards the end of the year, that wasn't a fully healthy Kodai. That was a rushed Kodai. I think we're going to see big things from him. Minaya, just keep doing what he's been doing. The changes that Jeremy Hefner was able to make with him in terms of his repertoire and arm slot and release were incredible, and I really hope that that continues this upcoming season. I'm really excited about David Peterson. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. He had a hip injury. He got it fixed, had a surgery last year. And from then on out, he was one of the most consistent pitchers in the Mets rotation. Now, I don't think Peterson's going to be this ace Cy Young caliber guy in this rotation by any means. But as someone who goes out there every 5 days, gives you 5, 6, even sometimes 7 innings, the Mets won almost every start he was on the mound last year. And I know wins and losses kind of get lost in the shuffle now in Major League Baseball and how we talk about pitching. But a guy like David Peterson, every 5 days gives him a chance to win. I really like how crazy and scary that this rotation is. I think it's not as scary as it was last year where Severino and Minaya, let's be honest, coming into the year were two of the worst pitchers in baseball the prior season. So I think there's a little more stability, but it's definitely going to drive a lot of Mets fans insane when you see guys like Griffin Canning pitching and maybe he gets lit up for one game every once in a while.
Yeah, and that might happen. That's just part of baseball and part of being in the big leagues. Now, you talk about the pitching staff. We haven't talked about the bullpen here because nowadays the bullpen is one of the biggest pieces for championship teams to cruise along and dominate, because once that pitcher goes away, next thing you know, you need your bullpen. You had A.J. Minter. He's just coming off hip surgery. Talk a little bit about the bullpen. Are they ready to make a championship run here?
Yeah, I think the bullpen is a lot of fun because you have a guy like Edwin Diaz at the end who's one of the best closers in baseball. Even coming off of a major injury last season, he was still really good despite some scuffles here and there. But you have a guy like Reed Garrett and Dedniel Nunez, who are two guys that on the Mets Up podcast we talk about a ton. They have a lot of really fun stuff. Dedniel Nunez, when he pitched last year, was a huge part, a huge stopper for this team, and really gave us some big innings. And then you add in guys like Ryan Stanek, AJ Minter, Jose Budo, who was a really surprising bullpen change, I guess, in the previous year because he was supposed to be a starter, but moving him to the bullpen, he got some huge outs. I love what David Stearns does with the bullpen, and he even said it last year going into the year. Because our bullpen looks one way on opening day doesn't mean it will look that way by the end of the season. He is willing to tinker. He's willing to change guys. Jeremy Hefner, Eric Gagers are always working with these guys to try out new things to make them better. There's going to be, again, some chaos for sure with this Mets bullpen, just like it will be with the starting rotation. But I think the process and what they look for in their pitchers allows them to be a little bit more, crazy in their approach of guys that they go after.
Wait, let's finish with this. What did you give them for their offseason grade?
Oh, I gave the Mets an A. I mean, I'm a biased Mets fan, so of course I'm going to give them an A, but also at the same time, when you sign Juan Soto, when you sign the best player of the entire offseason, I think it starts and ends at A. It would have – I don't even think if they didn't get Pete that they wouldn't get an A. I still think that they would have been a better team than they were in the previous year, so definitely an A.
Agreed. Great call. Kratz, you okay? You okay? You want to let Mets fans know anything?
I'm good. I just want to know, because I was attacked on Twitter by the Mets community, which clearly doesn't allow anybody else in, because I tried to reply to some of them and they said you have to be invited. So I would love to be invited into the Mets community to conversate about your Mets team. And they said, hey, Giraffe Neck Mark is about to cook this fool. So if you have it, go ahead and cook me for calling the Mets team still a playoff team, but just the third place playoff team.
I mean, listen, I'm totally okay with you doubting them. They were doubted last year. I even doubted them last year. I didn't think they were necessarily going to be a playoff team. So I'm cool with people kind of sleeping on the team a little bit. We don't need a target on our back. The target's on the Dodgers' back. The target's on the Phillies and the Braves' back. Keep sleeping on the Mets. We'll take a look what it looks like at the end of the season. And when they're towards the top of the division, probably even in first place, then they can let the talking do for themselves. But, they made a good run last year. They got even better. I've got all the faith in this team, and especially with the decision-making at the top.
Also, Mets fans, it's okay to win a wild card. Are they a first-place team? Yeah.
Are they the first-place team in the East? Say it with your chest.
No.
Say it with
They're not the first place team in the East right now. I do not think that they are, but I think right now that they have a possibility to become the first place team in the East. But I think on paper they are not the best team right now in the East by any means.
Or the best team in the East in the playoffs,
team right
which
now?
is different.
I think they could be a third place team. I think they're a second place team, honestly. That's where I would put them right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
I love that.
The Braves and the Phillies are good. So it's not like Kratz was saying, oh, two crappy teams are both going to come out of the woodwork and be really good. Like, these are two good teams. So it's healthy
people
debate.
get twisted.
Yeah. I'm like, Mets fans, there's a chance you win 90 games, finish in third, and win a World Series or, upset the Dodgers in the NLCS, whatever. Like that is a universe that you should also be okay with. So I'm just throwing that out there because I got plenty of love for this team too. But hey, Mark, good to see you, dude. Great run through the storylines, and make sure you check out, obviously, what Mark brings to the table as, yes, I can't win doing a show in Brooklyn. Yes, Kratz, you take us to the promo.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Metsed up. Everybody, click on the link. Hit a subscribe button, right?
Yes, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Let's go, Mets.
Appreciate it. It's a Metsed Up podcast there. What a great year to come on board to Foul Territory with the Metsed Up. All the breaking news. They're always on doing it right.
Yes, and we'll be right back, FT fam. I can't promise that my doorbell won't ring again. I can't make any promises. I live in a disaster building in Brooklyn. Okay, just letting everyone know.
Scott has a landline phone. Scott's.
Yeah,
I got something in my throat. I can't get out.
He's against.
I'm moving.
Against people. He's against shaved polish, shaving faces, but he's got a landline phone.
Yeah.
And
I live in Florida.
Phone, so.
All right, I live in Florida. I'm up here. I'm taking care of a sick family member. Real talk. But we're still trucking through. BetMGM Futures-Elly De La Cruz stolen bases. So he had 67 last year, 53.5 over under, guys. I'm actually a little caught up on this one. It's my favorite player in baseball, but I'm like, is there a chance that he cools it a little bit on the base paths? Is there a chance? Or is he a daredevil and he's still young as hell and he wants to steal 80 plus? Obviously, this always gets factored in with injuries because if you're a stolen base guy, the chance of injury is a little bit higher. But Todd, Father, you're the red. Help me out.
Yeah, why not? Why not, dude? I mean, at the end of the day, listen, I love, you know me, I love Elly De La Cruz.
Clearly you love cigarettes too because you're coughing. But
listen, I'm good. I got something caught in my throat. I'm good now. But
you love Elly.
I do. I love Elly, and I think he's
over or under
60. Over
60. I think he goes more. I don't think he's not the age where they slow him down yet. There hasn't been an injury. They haven't slowed him down, and plenty of his teammates and Dave Roberts said it as an opposing manager. He doesn't even know how to steal bases yet. So to me, those are things that show me he's going over.
Boom. All right, I'm convinced. It doesn't take much to convince me with my favorite player to watch in the sport.
I love Elly.
So I'll take you over. Fun player to watch. I like entertainment. That's why I watch the sport. All right, Kratz, tell us about your poker little rendezvous all week online. People are like, oh, Kratz is in Jersey to play a little poker in person. No, he's playing online. He's playing online this week.
I got crushed.
I blew it last night. But you know what? The best thing about it is you can just go back online and you can get another one. There's like 3 more tonight. I'm not going to be on tonight.
What?
But there's a big one coming up. The $2,500 buy-in. Doing it.
And that's only for Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania and New Jersey. New Jersey and Michigan are together. Pennsylvania's by itself.
That's baloney.
1.5 million? It is, because you Jersey guys will lose to PA guys. But I'm not saying that.
Weeds we go. Now that the spring games have begun, we're going to give you a little tutorial that Kratz is very excited to walk you through on how to handle the ABS challenge system. So we actually created a nice little how-to board. This is all thanks to Jason Stark. He gets all the credit. But Kratz, would you like to read us through it and throw some comments out there? I think you're the perfect guy because you're kind of in the middle of all this. Catcher, catching the pitcher. You did hit 2. So tell me how this should work within the complexion of a dugout.
Obviously, we got, this is from Jason Stark's article, but the strike zone is not the same as what we're used to as hitters. The strike zone never changes, which is super awesome, and guys will start to understand that in the big leagues, and I think it's going to be an advantage for hitters. Don't put games in the robot's hands, meaning try to use your challenges. Don't get emotional because you're still learning what this zone is. Hitters don't need to get emotional. Don't let pitchers challenge. This is my favorite one. Pitchers think everything's a strike because we as catchers, this is my value as a catcher, we're not only trying to manipulate the umpire, but we're trying to manipulate the pitcher to give him a good idea that, you know what, that probably was a strike. You really got it close there when in reality they didn't get it close. Make this all about the catchers. I mean, I'm going to get that tattooed on my right bicep because that way my kids know that it is all about the catchers and I was a catcher, okay? And I'm going to get it tattooed there so Todd knows too.
Yeah. Listen.
It's a test. So don't save your challenges.
No,
don't save them.
That's true.
Don't save them. This is a huge thing, and this is from people who had experience. Jason Stark, he did all the research from guys who have experience in the last, I think, 2 or 3 years now. Who were the guys that he interviewed. So this is all good info that I know they're already talking about in big league camp because we watched some of the live ABs and they have the system set up. Dudes are challenging, and it's fun to see who gets it right and who gets it wrong.
And when you use them, too, as well. I think you have some really good points. Stark's got some really good points. Are you going to save these for a bases-loaded opportunity? Are you going to use these right off the bat? It's just one of those things where I haven't done much research on it, but I know he has. So those are all really good points. But at the end of the day, like in big-time situations, if it's ball 4 to end the game, we're going to challenge it anyway. Just to, what I'm saying, like bigger situations to save runs and it's borderline, I think you have to use it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I love everything about it. I hope this is not an inkling to take away from umpires, but this is the start of something really good that will help umpires. There won't be many arguments, but at the same time, let the humans be humans.
My value sorry, Scott. My value as a player was receiving, and that receiving was even Todd's brother.
That's true.
Todd's brother got thrown out of a game, and as he was arguing with the umpire, he's like, "This dude's back here doing magic stuff. He's doing magic stuff, and you fell for it." And you take the ball's over here a little bit, and you just move it a little bit. Not like what guys are doing now, but I get it. There's success in it. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's all the same. It's all the same idea. So you're not taking value away from organizations who have, in their opinion, overpaid catchers for the receiving and framing metric, which is a very undervalued thing.
Not anymore.
That organizations have been valuing it, but now we have to figure out as players how to get paid for that. So it's manipulating the umpire. So the value is still in the umpire. The value is still in the catcher who can't hit worth a lick. This guy. And
not true.
You sit there and you go, okay, we're not really taking the human aspect out of it, but we're getting the calls right. We're getting the calls right, and adds a little bit of extra strategery.
And Todd Father knows I like that little petty action, so it's going to happen, Todd Father. There's going to be a little dugout back and forth when someone uses one up and they didn't save it for the superstar late. Someone's going to say something next year, right? Someone's going to say something when number 8 hitter is a little bit cocky and he thinks he didn't strike out, but he did. And then 8th inning, huge punch out. Your number 3 hitter goes down and it wasn't strike 3 because that's real. That impacts the freaking result of the game. And you got to save those for the big boys.
You got to know when to use them. And I know Stark says use them like it's not a test, like go after and use them. but you have to be very critical. How many are they getting? I know in spring training they get two, so they're going to get two during the season. If you get
during next season. But wait, Todd. Yes, just to clarify real quick. So it's 2, and this is what they're testing out. They could switch this. They could say, you know what, we should do 3 next year, but they're doing 2, and if you win, you keep it. So you could technically challenge 40 times if you get it right every time, and we're going to keep track of, I'm sure, players' percentages, right? Oh, how does this guy do? Oh, he's an 80% guy. Like, he's getting it right most of the time. We'll let him challenge.
They should do 2, and then you know how they do with the challenges from the seventh inning on. The umpires can make a challenge, but they get one more, in my opinion. 1 through 7. They get 1 for the 7th inning and the 9th inning on. Good luck. That's what, in my opinion, what they should do. Again, my opinion doesn't matter.
I love that. I'm completely on board with that.
Yeah,
Scott, I got one for you. When we get players on, because we're going to spring training, we're going to have tons of players
every time.
I'm going to ask every one of them who they think is going to be the best at it, and the worst at it, because there's dudes, and I've said it a long time ago when they first started doing the challenges. I think everybody should have a little flag, not red because that's what they do in the NFL, but a flag in their pocket. And if you think you were safe at first, you throw it out right there. No replay needed, none of this stuff. And I always said, like, I know exactly on our team the dudes that are going to argue every one, because every single time, play at first base, bang, bang, they're like, oh, come on. Like, why do players do that? Why do players do this? Like, hey, check it.
You have to be 100%.
They check. Yeah, but they check every play.
Everything.
Stop telling the replay guy. He's already checking it as you're running down the line.
You usually get the one guy that's like, that's when you're like, all right, at least he's being,
at least he's honest.
Maybe, but it's going to be interesting, Scooter.
That's a great call out by Kratz. You get to see the personalities, and this is going to be really, really fun for next year. So look forward to it, but we'll see a little taste in spring training. All right, we're swinging back with Slap Hands on FT. We'll see you in a minute. Go ahead, Top Father. You want to read this tweet from Tim Healy?
Sure. Tim Healy reports Tyrone Taylor found a mystery loaf of bread in his locker today. It looked delicious, but he had no idea where it came from. Turns out Ryan Stanek's wife, Jessica, likes to bake, so Ryan gives out bread to guys. Pete Alonso got one they embraced. I love you, Alonso said. Very nice.
I actually love when you guys retweet, by the way.
I know, always change. From being from the East Coast, I mean, I don't know if this is our persona. I will take a slice of bread, from the bakery or from my buddy's, local delicatessen, and I will eat that with everything, with whatever gravy you want to put in, brown gravy, red sauce, eggs, anything you could really think of. I'm putting bread on it, and a nice hot bread. I mean, I'm going to embrace and say I love you too, because that's one of my favorite things, especially from this side. You can't get better bread from the East side. From the Northeast. Call me crazy. We talked to Claudia in Miami. I'm telling you, the bread ain't as good.
I didn't know where you're going with that. Like, you eat bread with, like,
everything.
Everybody eats bread with everything.
Not true.
I get it. People that don't eat bread. But
people like wraps. They don't like bread.
Okay, but you put anyway, Todd.
Don't say that.
You didn't even say peanut butter and jelly. I mean, how's a man supposed to go to school without some peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah, what?
You probably had your crust cut off too.
No.
You know what though? I like this. It's already started early. For the Mets. Now they got their gimmick this year is their loaves. It's probably some type of sourdough, because sourdough's hot right now.
When they hit a home run, they're going to put
a little white bread bowl,
like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
A bread bowl, bruh.
That's good.
Yeah, you look like
there was one in particular. Someone in the chat was like, "You guys are really silly today." I'm like, "Well, we do this sometimes on Fridays. It's okay." And by the way,
I couldn't control my throat.
Also, I like being silly.
You had a landline go off.
It's not a landline. It's a doorbell.
Okay, sorry.
It's a doorbell. We have just people that run up to the building to steal packages, so they just ring everyone's doorbell till someone lets them in, and then they steal it all.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
That's a real story.
Well in the city right now. Yeah,
Kratz is on his own.
Exactly. Hey, 11 a.m. Eastern time for the YouTube fam is when this show is live now. and for most of spring training. So please keep that in mind. Also, we're doing a bonus segment today because we're not going to get away without talking about the ESPN MLB stuff. So Andrew Marchand's going to come on. He's the expert on this. That's in 5 minutes. All right, let's slap. And I'm very excited about next week. It starts our spring training tour. We keep expanding it. Last year, we hit more camps in Florida. This year, we're going to hit even more camps in Florida. There'll be other friends taking over down there. It's not just AJ dominating his home state. Cam Maven's going to get involved. Kratz. And we're hitting Arizona. But first, let's focus on next week. Orioles camp, Pirates camp, Yankees camp, Cardinals camp, Mets camp. If you're watching right now, send us requests. Who do you want us to talk to, and what do you want us to ask them? We will talk to many players on a camp-by-camp basis. What are you smirking about? You got something? You got something good?
No, the next thing coming up, I started laughing here on our page.
Go ahead, read it. Is it the Jace Young thing?
Yeah, the Josh Jung. Oh my God, man! I forgot we were talking about.
Or Josh Young. Josh Young. Yeah, not Jace's brother. Josh
Young.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, Josh Jung. Jeff Bates put on there, if we can show it. He said, "I love Josh Jung, but I know he's a big
no,
Star
not
Wars
Young,
guy."
Young. Give me a
Young,
why.
Why you confuse me?
It's not a heavy J.
It's the way I talk.
I didn't say
right?
Jung. Just give me a nice Young.
Young. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm done.
What do you got?
Toast. As I know, Jeff Bates wrote, and I know he's a big Star Wars guy. Does this now confirm he is an Avatar? The Last Airbender fan too? ? Oh my God. This is incredible. Josh writes, exposing me. I know the gaps are getting deep. I'm in the denial phase right now, hoping it doesn't get worse. Jesus, this is spot on. This is incredible. You're going to have to shave that, buddy. Yeah. And it's not even. No, it's not even the alleys. Oh my God. God bless.
Kratz, quick.
Josh, it's okay. Come to the dark side. And KC, this baby blue is hot. It's hot. Appreciate your new era.
Baby blue always slaps. FT fam. Today was a good day. Monday will be even better. Spring training tour.
Suntan lotion.
Yes. Get to see all your old friends.
Make some new ones.
Obviously, they could have corrected everything if they just gave him the right offer this time around. But basically, the point of what I wrote was that they had chances here. They had chances well before this. Now, if you remember, back in February 2021, that's when Tatis signed his 14-year, $340 million deal with the Padres. A lot of people, including myself, questioned that deal. That deal now is looking pretty good. And that was the same year. Guerrero, after that contract was signed, went off. He had his best year for the Blue Jays. And after that season, or even before that, they could have offered him the Tatis deal, right? Something similar. And at that point, he probably would have taken it. I would imagine he definitely would have taken it. So that was a chance. They had chances after that as well. And the history here is not great. Early on, they told the world that they planned to manipulate his service time. They were going to keep him in the minors. They didn't feel he was defensively sound enough. It was for his own good, all this stuff. He gets hurt. It didn't turn out to be an issue in that sense because he wouldn't have been available necessarily, but that was the plan. Then they take him to a hearing, an arbitration hearing in 2024. They lost that hearing. And there's this history of insufficient offers, or at least offers he deemed insufficient. And it's capped off by yesterday. Now, if you're a fan, you might say $500 million for a first baseman, even as good as Vlad Guerrero. That's ridiculous. No team should do that. But the point of what I wrote was that this should have been settled long ago, and he should have been extended long ago. So now AJ asks where he's going to go. People say, well, maybe it's Toronto. Maybe they come back to him. I guess that's conceivable.
they can come back to him with a number closer to what he wants because they're getting a lot of heat, as you know. But the Blue Jays front office talks frequently about discipline, how they want to stay disciplined. Sometimes, actually often, that's a great idea. But when you've got a star player like this and you've got the Juan Soto deal there sitting at 765 million, the market's changed. And it seems like they had a couple of opportunities to react to that before even Soto signed, and they did not take advantage of them.
All right, here we go. We've got Andrew Marchand joining us right now, senior writer for The Athletic, sports media expert. I've been following him for a long time. And you can also check out his podcast multiple times a week on the very topic we're going over and many others all around sports media at andrewmarchand.com. Andrew, great to have you on, man. Obviously, a huge story that we wanted to dive into with you because ESPN and MLB just announced a massive divorce. Can you take us through what the implications will be for baseball fans, for MLB, and for ESPN?
So yeah, it's a big deal. Next year, this upcoming season, nothing will change. But as it stands now, ESPN, they owed baseball $550 million a year for the next 3 years after this season. You know, as they're going to pay it this year, of course. They do Sunday Night Baseball. They do the Home Run Derby. And they have the first round of the playoffs. So they looked at this contract and they said $550 million. Wait a minute. Apple pays $90 million for their doubleheader regular season national games exclusive on Friday. Roku on Sundays paying $10 million. We agree we should pay more than them because our package includes playoffs, home run derby, Sunday Night Baseball is better. But is it 55 times better than Roku? Is it six? I'm not very good at math. 6 times better than Apple? They said no. The two sides. Pretty heated yesterday. Rob Manfred sent a memo to the owners that my colleague Evan Drellich of The Athletic obtained, and he said that the ESPN is a platform that's shrinking, which I don't think he would have said if they were still willing to pay them $550 million. So now baseball goes into those final 3 years with nobody to work with yet. Manfred said he has 2 places that are potential new distribution partners, but we'll see what happens next.
Who's to blame for this? Nobody's blaming ESPN for wanting to save money and read the landscape, but nobody's blaming MLB for blaming ESPN for not covering baseball the way that they should or shouldn't. So who's to blame? Who really gets the brunt of this blame?
Yeah, I'll blame somebody. Rob Manfred and Noah Garden. Manfred, I don't know what their vision is as of yet in terms of their TV deals. They were mad because the last time around in 2021, ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro, he lowered what he was offering from around $750 million is what ESPN was paying to the current $550 million a year, which I think is $570 for this season. So they weigh these things, they average out over the whole contract. And so, you generally at the end, they are more than at the beginning. And so, okay, you're mad about that. But then you go and you take the extra games that ESPN didn't want anymore, and you go to Apple and you sell them for $90 million, and you call it an experiment. You go to Roku. Well, first you had Peacock, but then you go to Roku and you sell them for $10 million. I don't know how you can expect ESPN to sit there and say, you've just devalued how much you say regular season games cost. And again, not that ESPN's package is slightly better, but if you look, Roku's schedule came out this week. It's not bad. It has some Yankee games, some Dodger games, I believe, and it's okay. And there is some exclusivity because those games start a little bit earlier. ESPN has the full ramp of nobody else playing on Sunday night. It's clearly better. It probably is worth 200, 250, maybe $300 million. You probably should be paying for that package at this point. And so, yeah, I think I don't know what their vision is. Having the opt out that they agreed to with 3 years left is not ideal because most partners want a longer term deal so they have stability. And after the 2028 season, Fox, TNT, and this deal are going to be up. And so I don't really see, and then obviously they also have the regional sports network problem, and it's not these aren't great cards that they've been dealt. So I'm a little sympathetic in terms of that, but I don't see at this moment the vision of what they're trying to do and how it's cohesive, because ESPN is likely their best partner that they could have. We could talk about the Amazons. We could talk about maybe another network, Apple, Roku, Google, YouTube. The streamers are unproven with regular season baseball, and you're going to talk about that ESPN's not featuring baseball on Sports Center or their talk shows, and maybe that's true. Go to a streamer and let's see what the ratings are if you're Major League Baseball for regular season games. I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think that many people, I think less people will watch. And I think you're taking a big risk going to those 2028 deals that you're going to have to renew or reconfigure.
Did Rob Manfred's comments, were they too petty? In the sense of well, if you're not going to, then you're not that cool anyway, ESPN, and we're fine with it. Were they too petty in the sense that whoever's going to be picking up these games or whoever they're going to next, the two other places that he said they're going to be, possibly streaming on, do you really want to work with a guy who does this at the divorce of, a long-standing relationship that Major League Baseball and ESPN had?
So I'm a person who thinks have a reason for everything you do. And so, and especially when we're talking about if you're the commissioner here, what's the strategic reason to diss ESPN here after a long relationship that has been a good relationship overall? You could argue that they don't. The reason that you guys, are off to success is because you have an audience that likes to talk about baseball. But I'm not saying it's a niche audience because I think there's a big niche for baseball. There's a lot of baseball fans. But if you want to do a show like First Take, people want to hear about the Cowboys. So the idea that it's not, they would talk about the Milwaukee Brewers on First Take if more people would watch, that they're just doing what the metrics say. And so to bring up that stuff, which I don't think really concerns them, the $550 million is what concerns Major League Baseball. I don't see the purpose of that. ESPN still wants to be in business with Major League Baseball. They want to have national games. They'd like to be part of the solutions for regional sports games and all the problems with the RSNs. And the other thing is they have someone in Jimmy Pitaro who's a huge baseball fan. And when you make these decisions, you'd like to say, well, that doesn't matter. I think it does matter a little bit. The guy in charge eats and drinks and breeds the New York Yankees, still gets upset over regular season losses. And so that's someone who you want, and his sister works in the commissioner's office. So you feel like that's someone who's, I wouldn't say family, but is someone who you could work with. And here's the other question you have to ask yourself if you're Major League Baseball. Why did the last deal go down from 700 plus to 550? Because they didn't have somebody else to go to. If they had somebody else to go to, then they would have, or they at least you would have used the leverage to keep the number at the same number. Why did they end up at Roku for $10 million? Because nobody really wanted those deals. Now, the streamers have matured. Amazon's clearly I think they're probably ESPN's biggest rival right now, with Netflix maybe around the corner, because they have the NFL, they have Thursday Night Football. They like the idea. They have a relationship with the Yankees. They've been very smart. And so could they be the saving grace? Maybe, but they also are, I don't know if they're just writing a check because they can. That's not what their MO is. You got Netflix. Apple has not been a success. They don't release any numbers. Yeah, I can't say the numbers I've heard, but they've not been good. And you just have a feel too when those games are on for people for their local team. Is there excitement or is it a nuisance? And I think almost 100% people would say it's a nuisance. It's 4 times a year, and I don't really see the strategy of what they're doing. So they got to really rethink when they get to 2028 in terms of how they're going to sell their packages, because they have to do it differently than they are now because it's a different world with streaming. And again, there's no vision right now. So to answer your question, I don't understand why you make those comments, because I think if you're smart, you want ESPN still involved. That's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you if you have ESPN at the table, even if you want to leave.
Yeah, misguided and dumb. Take the high road. It's not like it's the last time you're ever going to work with them. I'm totally with you. And it's not like we always get straight shooter comments. And that's fine. We know what we're getting from the league. But Commissioner Manfred talking about the A's situation, Commissioner Manfred talking about the uniform disaster, right? Like all that gets covered up, but then we're going to blast ESPN. Yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way. So here's the perfect follow-up, I think, for the league to think about is, do they really have multiple other streamers or networks involved here? Do you think that they do? He promised everyone in his letter. It's not like he was talking off the cuff when he blasted ESPN. He also said in the letter in writing, we've got 2 other dance partners. Do you believe it? And any speculation on who that would be?
So, part of reporting is trying to be prepared. So I've talked to a lot of places to try to gauge interest. Do I think would people want to broadcast or stream baseball? Yes. Are they going to come close to $550 million? I'm very doubtful that they'll get even any, near that number. I'd be surprised by that because of the precedence of the other deals and where the value is. A Sunday night baseball game probably brings in about $1.5 million to $2 million when you add it all up in advertising per game. There's 26 of them around. So do the math there. You're talking about 52 million. The playoffs, maybe add another 100 million. Home run derby. I think you can get to 200 million, and maybe then it's baseball. You get 250 million. I think those are the numbers you're probably talking about. So I could go one by one. I try not to say what's not going to happen because nobody's going to, you guys are going to call. You say, hey, Marchand said they're not going to end up on Fox. I will say I don't think they'll end up on Fox unless it's a cheap deal. Fox already has baseball. They're already paying baseball. They like their situation. They've been offered Sunday night in the past. They haven't gone for it. Could someone like NBC with their Sunday night, they have Sunday night football, they have Sunday night basketball, could they do a package? Yeah, but you don't have all, like what happens in September? You're not on broadcast TV at that point because they have football. So you go to Peacock. Does that solve what Manfred said in his memo in terms of we want broader distribution? So your most important Sunday primetime games are possibly on Peacock. I don't see that. CBS maybe is could be a new entry, but I tend to doubt it. Again, I'm not going to rule any of these out, but I don't think so. And so you get to the streamers. I think Amazon's the one everyone points to, but they don't look at themselves as we're dying to get in. They are very strategic, very smart. And then Apple, that hasn't been a success. Apple's not as broadly distributed in terms of Apple TV Plus. And so I don't know if I don't foresee them doing a bigger deal with Apple. I don't think that has gone well. And so it's not obvious who it could be. I mean, there's Netflix, there's Google, YouTube. I will say that I would be a little bit I'm not going to say 100%, but I feel like if they had somebody, we might have already heard about it. That's very possible. Again, we have to see. Yeah, you got to let it play out. You got to give Manfred and Noah Garden a chance to show that there's other outlets out there. But again, I said 7 years ago, or actually 2021, not 7 years ago, 2021, they had to go with ESPN. Then they were stuck with Roku, and they did the Apple deal. So maybe someone emerges. I just don't think it's obvious. Again, they can have another partner. I mean, there are a lot of people. Baseball is great. People want to be involved with baseball. The money, the distribution channels, do they have something better than what ESPN has? And they should be on ESPN. It's pretty obvious. That's where they should. That's the deal they should be making. Is how do we make this work with ESPN? And even if it's less money, because yes, they were mad that they loaded it last time, they loaded it this time, but you can't. That's not how you run a league. Being mad, you got to do what's in front of you.
Right. ESPN, even though they don't talk about baseball, it is still good to be in business with them the way that they do promote what they have in their inventory. Also, they do have a new streaming platform with Andrew. Andrew's been all over this story, which is coming out soon. And that direct to consumer platform obviously could use the inventory. Maybe they could talk them into some studio shows, stuff like that, that would please them on that side. We know this is about money. So here's my next one for you, Andrew. Might be my last one. How do you compare the way that MLB has handled the media side of things versus the other sports that you cover in terms of, are they doing a good job or not? And I'm broadening it beyond just media rights, because I can give some insight on things that a lot of creators and just fans look for. They're by far the most strict league when it comes to rights on places like YouTube. They are so damn strict. There were stories out about hockey. MLB is 10 times more strict than hockey has ever been on being able to use a single slice of anything. NBA took the complete opposite route about 10 years ago, right? They're on a million different streaming platforms saying, oh, we're testing things out. No, you're trying to take a quick buck, and it actually ended up screwing you over. So I can go on and on about this. Obviously, I've disagreed on a lot of things and ended up saying, hey, I think they're missing something on the talk show side too. But curious to get your take on how they compare to people like Adam Silver and his decisions. And I know different product, but also Roger.
Well, I think you do have to start there. Yeah, I think so. I do think you have to start there. Right? The NFL is the king because they have the best TV sport. And so it is easier to make great deals when you have a sport that has something. The word that I want to use here is scarcity. And now the NFL keeps like making more Netflix games and Amazon games. And so, but the one thing that really helps the NFL is, even though they've expanded the season to 17 games, they have scarcity. The NBA, what they just did, and they did a masterful job. So if you ask me who's done the best job, Adam Silver has done the best job in the last cycle. He got $76 billion. He got more money from NBC than NBC pays the NFL. And NBC has Super Bowls. They only have half the Western Conference over their 11 years. Half, 6 games, 6 Western Conference finals, no finals. He got more money from Amazon. He got similar money to the NFL from ESPN. And so he's done the best job. Baseball's national and regional now is a very difficult dilemma. If I were them, the word I used before is scarcity, I would try to figure out a way to devise packages where I create marquee events. So maybe it's Fox with 10 marquee events during the regular season. Opening day, you have a triple header, double header on Big Fox, and that's it, standalone doubleheader. You have the All-Star game Fox has. They did the Field of Dreams Classic. Maybe you do 1 or 2 of those. Maybe you in September they don't want it because they have college football, but maybe you find a slot during the September, the big September run, and then the playoffs in the World Series. So that's like one example. I could go through other, and you can't have these 50 partners. You're a Yankee fan, yes. Amazon, Apple, Roku is free, but Roku, I might be TNT,
Fox, ESPN, TNT. Yeah.
So, you make it hard for people. Eventually, they'll give up. The diehards of the diehards, they're gonna find it, but there's not as many of those people. They're listening probably to you because they're so into it, and you guys have you're global and you can reach a lot of people. But when you talk about even the Yankees, I know what I've heard what the numbers are for an Apple game. People just will say, I don't have Apple. It's a hassle, and it annoys people. They got to figure out a way that it's easy. They understand. Like, I think they get a bad rap on the blackout problem. They know they want to get rid of the blackouts. There's contracts that they can't just break. But so they understand that issue, and I think they desperately want to fix it. But that's what they have to figure out, is how to present the game, and so they can maximize their money and they can grow it. And I think it's a combination of distribution, so broadcast. You could argue some of the new streamers, but they're not there yet for not marquee events. People aren't finding those things in terms of the casual fan. Or you get the diehards, yes. And so to answer your question, they haven't done a great job. They've done a bad job for sure, but I also don't think that their hand is as good as some of the other sports.
That's fair. Last point here. as far as I know, they held some streaming rights hostage because there was obviously a relationship with many of these RSNs, and they were like, well, you have to pay us a lot more for that, right? Which, okay, I get it, but those didn't get sold elsewhere. And then it just screws over the fan. And then you miss out on people like me who consume content very differently. So that was a part also that I felt lost with for a 10-year span. I'm like, this just doesn't add up.
Well, I think another thing that now all the sports, all the leagues and all the networks are doing, you can't just chase old money. They had a great system with the RSN, and if you're just chasing old money, you're going to get in trouble. If you ask me, the reason I think ESPN makes a lot of sense is ESPN is going to go DTC, which means you won't need cable in August. They're probably going to charge $25 to $30. So if you're someone who doesn't want cable, you want to they have about 1/3 of the big sports, and they have a lot, but they don't have everything. If I'm Major League Baseball, I want to be part of that, and you charge either somewhere between $5 and $10 extra per month, because I think you can get people to pay $5 or $10. And I do these deals. I wouldn't try to get a check. I mean, I think I would try to get the best distribution and then charge $5 to $10 if you can. And I get it. They want to, now they just price it at $24.99 or even $29.99 for these monthly packages that we don't see the numbers. I can't imagine that many people are getting it, because you first have to not already have cable, because so you don't like your teams enough to have cable. So then you're saying, okay, I don't like them enough, so I don't have cable, so I'm not watching them. Now I'm going to go watch them, and it's almost $30. I don't think people are doing that. It's illogical. You have to get that price point lower, and obviously Manfred totally would like to have all the teams under one streaming service, which does make some sense. But again, are you getting the casual fan? Because you have to bring them in. So it's a complicated equation, but they really haven't been smart about it. So to answer your question, you know what? They do have a bad hand, but they've been bad.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm frustrated about it because I hear from people and I'm a consumer, but just one more to pile on here. So they take over the Twins, for example. They've taken over other teams too. What's the first thing that happens that gets buried in a press release? On the road, no more pregame shows. On the road, postgame shows cut from 30 to 15. Now that hurts your audience retention. And you're just saying, hey, we're going to throw some generic league sponsored stuff at you. That's not what fans want. That's the stuff that bothers me, Andrew. So anyway, appreciate it. Yeah. You got last word?
No, 100%. You
why?
need to put a quality. Yeah, you need quality. And also it's connecting with your fans. I mean, you have a better opportunity to do that than ever before. So I think we're on the same page. It'll be maybe I'll come back after they finally get to the next move, and it'll be interesting to see what that is.
Yeah, let's see what that looks like, because they're obviously calling out ESPN. They think they've got better, or at least something else in hand. So, Andrew, this was great. Wanted to dive into this. Thanks for jumping on pretty quick. And on the way out, let everyone know how much you use. Obviously, I've been listening to you, back when you did the pod with Orand, and obviously catch everything you do on here as well.
Great. Thanks. I really appreciate it, fellas.
Wait, just let everyone know where to go.
Oh, sorry. AndrewMarchand.com. Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw it on the screen.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, AndrewMarchand.com is where you subscribe. You can listen. We talked about this topic both on Tuesday and Thursday. And then next Tuesday, I think it's going to be the lead again. So we talk about that a lot. And then also, of course, The Athletic, where I am honored to be teammates with the great Ken Rosenthal. So you can read me there all the time as well.
Yes, exactly. More in The Athletic and more on AndrewMarchand.com. Andrew, thank you. Have a good weekend, man.
Great. Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate you. All right, FT fam, we're wrapping up. Obviously, did a little bonus content here so we could get to Andrew and get that story in there. Felt like, obviously, we're a show that can cover this in depth, and we feel heated about it. We're here for the people. We give you free content on YouTube. We will always give you free content on YouTube, podcasts, etc. We try to be everywhere. So, Kratz, on our way out. This is going to be an interesting story.
We're just trying to make the game better. So, wherever FT fits into this, no, we're trying to make the game better.
Yes, exactly. It needs to be talked about. Someone's got to talk about it. FT fam, good stuff today. We'll see you next week for the spring training tour.
See you in Florida.